Warm greetings from the high 10. It's Everyday Shenanigans. Thanks for joining me. I will be playing commentary from different sources pertaining to Summer Wells. She has been missing now 14 months, marking that as the 15th of this said month. She went missing June 15th, 2021 out of Rogersville, Tennessee. There have been no new updates pertaining to her disappearance, location, no suspects, arrests, and we will go back in time to chop up what's been said about the child from her bio donors. Please be respectful in the chat and to the hostess. If you decide to join the panel, please do not mention any YouTube names, and please refrain from getting crunk and derogatory language. As you already know, the queen can take care of that. Thank you all so much for joining me. Happy Friday, and I hope you all are having a great start to a new weekend. God bless all of you. Stay cool and hydrated. This is Everyday Shenanigans. Thanks for joining me. All content is in the YouTube queue and on my community board, and there is a source for each said information. WJHL, source number one.
Tonight, the radio scanner traffic from emergency dispatchers the night Summer Wells disappeared. Take a listen.
Yeah, 110, 110 Midfield Road on the beach street should be the first residence on your right. Reference to a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and advised that the mother had went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her. They've been yelling for her. She's been gone for about 10 minutes now.
Again, audio from police scanner traffic that evening. Dispatchers referenced Summer Wells as a 4-year-old. We now heard that correction the following day that, in fact, she is 5 years old.
All right, let's recap that information one more time. Thank you all so much for joining me. They found out the child was 5 years old, not 4. That means someone gave that information or someone recorded the information incorrectly. Now, one would question, you are a dispatcher, you are an officer, why would you get that information wrong? So that means if indeed a dispatcher and or an officer did not make a mistake in giving the child's age, then that means they got the information, law officials / the dispatch, from the person calling into the 911 dispatch. And that would be Candace Bly and also Mr. Donald Wells. So do they not know how old their child is? Is she actually the age that it's been reported by the news, which was 5? First reported 4. Just asking. You hearing this commentary about a walk. Mom took a walk. But thereafter, when she goes to give an interview with Ansley Daniels and many other platforms, social media, you never hear that she took a walk. So that is the first jump off to this story. What actually happened at that said home when the child allegedly made it back to Beach Creek, 110 Ben Hill Road. Did she actually make it back to that location with her mother and grandmother? When the call went into the dispatch around 6:30-ish, where was the child? Was she wandering around the property? Has she wandered off into the terrain, which we've learned is a very rough terrain here in East Tennessee? It is mountainous here. So did the child wander off? Number one, did she make it home? To that home to wander off? Was she abducted from 110 Ben Hill Road? Was she handed off to someone? Was there an accident and there was a cover-up and then the 911 call? Did the mother harm the child? Did the father harm the child? Time did the father actually make it home? What is the truth to the disappearance of Summer Wells? 14 months later, still no child, no arrest, nothing. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining me. What happened to Summer Wells? Thank you for joining me. Let's recap that conversation in that dispatch call. Thank you for joining me. We're playing one more time. Because what I've always said about a story is that a story will change depending on the players and how they want to relay the story to the public and to law enforcement. That is first and foremost. Everything they say will be chopped up and dissected. That is expected because there's a child missing. So whether it's a person missing or a person is deceased, you will chop up everything they said, how they act, how they talk, their demeanor. If they change the story, what the police reveals to the public about their story, their version. And it is known that once a person spins a different story, that 9 times out of 10, there is guilt on the party spinning the web. Because you have no reason to spin different versions of what is allegedly the truth. As they say in the street, the truth needs no explanation. So when you're spinning a web about a missing child, you have no reason, no logical reason to defer from your first initial conversation. So that first initial conversation would be to the dispatch. And you hear in this audio, she took a walk, the mother. But thereafter, she never tells the public in an interview, Dr. Field, anyone, that she took a walk. Why did she tell the dispatch she took a walk? Because she really wasn't prepared for the questioning. And even if this is a rehearsed crime, what I'm going to say, there's nothing like being in the moment when it's time to be asked the questions. You can stand in a mirror, rehearse it. You can walk and pant back and forth in your domain, in your car, wherever you are while you're plotting a crime. But until you're actually asked the questions by one, the dispatch, law enforcement, TBI, the sheriff's department, it is not the same. And I think most of you know that. Thank you for joining me. Let's replay this audio. Listen very carefully. Thank you all for joining me.
Scanner traffic from emergency dispatchers the night Summer Wells disappeared. Take a listen.
1 p.m., 110 Visual Road on the beach street. To see the first residence on your run. Reference to a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and advised that the mother had went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her. They've been yelling for her. She's been gone for about 10 minutes now. The parents have called in and advised that the mother had went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her. They've been yelling for her. She's been gone for about 10 minutes now.
Again, audio from police scanner traffic that evening. Dispatchers referenced Summer Wells as a 4-year-old. We now heard that correction the following day that, in fact, she is 5 years old.
The parents called 911. That means that's Donald and Candace. This audio you hear from the dispatch. They called in. They said she went for a walk. Why would it take 2 people to spin a story when allegedly there was only one person at the house with the little girl, and allegedly a grandmother in a camper and 3 children also in the said house? Why did 2 people call 911 when there was only one person allegedly looking for the child initially? Because the father couldn't have looked for her because he was allegedly at work. So that only leaves 3 small boys, a mother, and a grandmother. And if we are to believe that the grandmother was in her camper, I doubt she would have been up hobbling around trying to find a child. So did the grandmother get up to help? The mother searched the property. She had a bad knee, so I doubt that. Did she also get in the car with the mother? Because we also hear audio later on social media that the mother, Candace Bly Wells, got up and went inside a vehicle to look for the said child. Exactly where did Candace go to look for her? How far down the roads did she travel? Thank you for joining me. Content number 2. Very interesting. I also want to relay a quick note. It's on my community board. WJHL is the source. They are stating, Hawkins County Humane Society, that they are maxed out at the Humane Society. I will play that audio after I play the rest of this content pertaining to the disappearance of Summer Wells, because they also play a role in this saga with these people and these children, because as most of you know, their animals have been removed and placed with the Humane Society and been adopted out. Thank you for joining me. Due to complaints by social media entities and random people calling the Humane Society. This was uploaded 2 months ago. WJHL is the source. TBI, Summer Wells case remains mystery 1 year later. Thank you for joining me.
At 12:30.
This case is not cold. Those are the words from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation about an hour ago, as today marks 1 year since the disappearance of now 6-year-old Summer Wells. You're watching ABC Tri-Cities at noon. I'm Cindy Kessler. Now, investigators held a news conference late this morning. Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson said they didn't expect to be working this case a year later.
It's heartbreaking to me and my officers and the entire community. We've never stopped looking for Summer. We'll continue to do so.
Investigators say after 365 days, dozens of searches covering thousands of acres, and 170 interviews, they still have no answers. Ansley Daniel was at today's news conference. Ansley, the TBI stressed social media and misinformation are having a major impact on their search for Summer.
Yes, Sydney, we have heard it time and time again that social media has caused an uproar in this case. It's resulted in a lot of misinformation and has forced law enforcement to follow up on hundreds, if not thousands, of dead-end tips. Today, we learned that more than 100 TBI agents, in addition to the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office, have worked this case in this last year. Today, the Bureau revealed that 170 interviews have been conducted and 3 ground searches have happened in the Beach Creek community since this day last year. The TBI says that digital evidence and cell phone data have also been obtained, but today they wanted to make one thing clear. Do not call in tips from YouTube videos or theories from Facebook groups.
We know that this case has attracted the attention of individuals across the country who genuinely care about Summer and want nothing more but to help us find answers. We appreciate those people. However, we are also aware that there are some people using this case for their own personal gain.
Law enforcement also gave us a rap sheet, if you will, with frequently asked questions on this case with topics like data, evidence, as well as information on that red truck that they were looking for. That's on our website right now. And Sydney, the TBI and Hawkins County Sheriff's Office again reiterated today that this case has been outside of the norm since it began this time last year. But what we do know is that around 6:30 p.m. tonight, that's when the initial call came in, and that will mark 1 year since someone in Summer's family reported her missing. And obviously, there's been a lot that's happened since then. So here's a timeline to break down for you what has happened since that moment.
We've utilized ground crews of 80 to 100 people of trained professionals, aerial aviation search, both visual and FLIR, medical THB and TBI assisting us with fixed wing, multiple drones, 4 different canine units.
Law enforcement and hundreds of searchers scoured Beach Creek looking for the little girl.
While every case is different, this one is definitely outside of the norm. Typically, in an investigation like this one, we have some idea of where the case is headed and what might have happened within a few days.
With no luck, the ground search ended weeks later. That's when her mother spoke on camera for the first time about the moment her daughter went missing.
I yelled downstairs for her a couple times, and I didn't get no answer, which was unusual because usually she was answering. And so I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight.
The following month, Summer's older brothers were removed from their home. In October, Summer's father was arrested for a DUI.
I have lost control. I've done stupid things. For that, I apologize.
That was after filming a Dr. Phil special that aired in November.
Trigger after trigger after trigger and not a tear.
Planned searches happened throughout the winter months, and in February, Don Wells was jailed for violating his probation.
They're not cooperating right now. They have attorneys.
Months later, as we approach the 1 year mark, what happened to Summer Wells remains a mystery.
We're not leaning one way or the other. Anything credible that comes in, we will look into. Like I said, we've gone through hours and hours and hours of interviews, of video footage, electronic data, just trying to find a specific direction to go in towards. Nothing has narrowed that down. So everything, as the sheriff has said, is still on the table.
All right, everybody. Hold on a minute.
I truly believe.
Well, that's okay. We'll end that. Where is Summer Wells? Is it an issue of not wanting to reveal what they have? Do they actually have suspects, but they can't name them because they don't have ironclad proof that these people, whomever they are, 1, 2, 3, whomever, harmed the child, discarded the child. She's no longer alive. Human trafficking, abduction, whatsoever. Because as we learned with the Cal City case, law officials already knew the children were dead. They made a sound decision 1 week later to transfer the case from Cal City to Bakersfield. So 1 year of people wondering where those children were, they were already dead, and law officials knew, and the district attorneys knew. But the public did not know, which I felt was very unjust and unfair to people who were actually concerned for the children's welfare. So now you factor in travel down to East Tennessee with a case of a missing child, girl child out of the holler, and you wonder if indeed they do know something, but they're not revealing it. They're keeping it close to the vest. They're saying to themselves, we're not going to reveal anything because of all the shenanigans that has transpired with these people, with random strangers and social media hags, people who really don't have anything better to do than to meddle into something that, one, is not their concern, and make a fuss, ruckus over the disappearance of a child for self-serving reasons. You hear that in this commentary. Many ground searches. The case is out of the norm. Usually by day 3, they have some information pertaining to the disappearance of a person, child. Nothing. People meddling in the case. Random strangers. Parents going to jail. Getting drunk. DUI violations. So many things happening. But the one thing that never happened was information to the location of the child, either alive or deceased. Of suspects. You hear also in this commentary that the parents stopped cooperating. So one would wonder, is that the truth? Then they get on the news to say, Mrs. Candace and the mother, Don is already incarcerated, that is not true. You hear the grandmother saying to the news lady, that is not true. I don't know why he would say that. I know Candace has told me that she's still cooperating. I'm cooperating. I don't know about Don. So was this a ploy from law enforcement to try to rock the boat, to see if somebody would step out of character, reveal something about Summer? When you go back to the mentioning of devices, video surveillance, what video surveillance do they have? What does it say on those video surveillances? What's on the phones, iPads, computers? Did they actually get every device that was on their persons? Is there a possibility that there was a phone not retrieved or an iPad not retrieved? Did these people hide things before calling 911 if indeed they are guilty suspects pertaining to the disappearance of the child? Did they hide items? People are known to hide things, throw out things before dialing 911 as to cover their tracks. Are we looking at guilty parents and a grandmother? Did they sell the child, barter the child, or kill the child and cover it up? Did one of the children harm the child and the mother covered it up? The father covered it up. The father's secondhand knowledge, grandmother, secondhand knowledge, and or they're all complicit to the disappearance of the child. Is the child alive? Is the child dead? Is the child discarded back there in the Beach Creek community somewhere? Is she discarded in the state of Tennessee, Virginia, North Carolina, Kentucky? Was this an orchestrated plan to get rid of a child for whatever reason? Many will question, why would someone kill a child? Why not? You're speaking from a logical standpoint when you say, why? So you have to think of someone who has something to lose or something to gain. A sick, diabolical mind. I don't need a reason. I don't have to explain it to you. Why would I explain to you why I don't want my child? Why I don't need her around? Because if you're not an ill person, you will never understand the reasoning behind murdering a child, selling a child, trafficking a child, whatever the actual reasons are. Children are murdered every day here in the United States. So I'm the type of person, I'm a free thinker, a logical thinker, as my old classmate said to me during Mary's funeral. He says, you can't sleep because you're a thinker. You're a heavy thinker. Usually people who are heavy thinkers don't sleep. Your mind is always going on and on. I said, well, I've never heard that before. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's true. What happened to this child? Many players intervened, reached out to social media, and then the band played on with nonsense. And when you look back, you have to see that this was a ruckus pertaining to a child. And one would say, how in the world did this get so out of control with random strangers intervening in the case of a missing little girl? You don't know each other. And you're going on and on about things that you don't know anything about. And you're listening to random people talk about her and her family and what they were like and the neighbors and this and that and so on and so forth. The church, everybody played a part in this story some type of way. But in the end, the child has not been discovered or found. So in the end, a lot of it was just a bunch of gibberish. And you're entitled to your opinion, to what you believe and don't believe. But in the end, when you look at the fact that it's 14 months later, you'd have to be realistic and say, what was the point of it all? Just people wanting to be a part of something. Because in the end, a lot of people appear to be very lonely that immersed themselves in this case. How could I not, as a sane person, not come to that conclusion? Because what did you gain? You haven't gained anything. Because the child is still missing. And when you look back, as I said, and reflect on all the he said and the she said and the stories from the news, it's sickening and it's sad, because in the end, the child's gone. The brothers are in foster care. The mother is somewhere out there in La La Land, and the father is still incarcerated. Allegedly supposed to be getting out in October. We will see. And God forbid it goes back to the same mess when he gets out and he jumps back on social media, then the circus will resume. And it really would be a tragedy for it to resume. Give people something to talk about, make a video about. But in the end, it's very, very sad. Very, very sad. Because children are separated, one's missing. But I don't believe the children deserve to be with their parents, because the parents are not well suited to raise children. I think that's been proven, even without having full knowledge of why the state removed the boys. As I said, people wanting to be a part of something can't even resist entering the chat with nonsense. But that's to be expected. Everybody wants 5 minutes of fame off of talking about this little girl. But it's a news story, so people are entitled to have his or her opinion, have a platform. Many people started their networks, channels, Facebook groups off of the disappearance of the child. But in the end, it became a circus. Probably still a circus in certain arenas that I don't participate in, because I don't have that kind of time. Too many other stories out here to talk about, because there are other missing children and Americans. What will be the fallout if there is no arrest next 4, 5, 6 months? What will become of this story? Pretty bad. No arrests. Where did Summer Wells go on June 15th before disappearing? WJHL is the source. Let's hear that content. Thank you for joining me.
As this week marks 10 months since family members said Summer Wells disappeared from their home in Hawkins County, News Channel 11 continues to work to find answers. Tonight, Ansley Daniels in the Beach Creek community with a timeline of June 15th, 2021, leading up to that night.
We've walked you through what has happened since Summer Wells disappeared the night of June 15th. But for the first time, we walk you through that day with her mother and grandmother from their perspective just hours before she was reported missing.
Candace and I got up that morning. She came out and took me into the ER because my leg was messing up on me.
The hospital is about 25 minutes from the Wells Beach Creek home in Kingsport.
She took me into the hospital, and I ended up getting a shot for it to get rid of the pain. And they prescribed me medication.
Summer, her mother, and grandmother spent the day in the closest city to their house.
Then we waited around for my prescription. Summer went swimming that day at the horse stables, I believe it was. We were waiting on my mother's prescription from the drugstore at Walgreens.
The three, along with a friend that Candace describes as a minor, then came swimming here at Boyers Path State Park. It's where the last known video of Summer was taken and then posted to TikTok.
We had to wait for Mom's prescription at Walgreens, so we just went up to Warriors. There was all kinds of trash everywhere at Warriors when we showed up. And I let Summer out to play. And we just stood there for about 15, 20 minutes, and then we all got back in the truck, and we got Mom's prescription, and I took him home, and then we came home.
And so then Summer came back here with you later that afternoon, right?
Yes.
The trip from Warriors Path back to Ben Hill Road is just over 17 miles. But Bly couldn't recall how many hours that was before she reported her daughter missing.
About how many hours was that before she was reported missing?
You know, I really can't tell you all the time details because time gets away from you when you're trying to enjoy yourself.
The three then returned here to their home on Ben Hill Road. A neighbor says that she first heard Candace calling for Summer around 6 o'clock that night. Police say that she was reported missing around half an hour later, around 6:30. In the Beach Creek community, Ansley Daniel, News Channel 11.
Now, this recount is based on what Summer's mother and grandmother told News Channel 11 about the day of June 15th. You can view their interviews about the night Summer went missing and see all of our coverage about the search for Summer on our website, WJHL.com.
Okay, so when you listen to this interview, and you watch and listen to Candace, her eyes are bucking up on the questions from Ansley, which tells me a lot. She's not really believing what she's telling her. That's my opinion. And she's waiting for her to ask something, hoping she doesn't ask the wrong question. Watch it very carefully again. And the one thing that sticks out in this conversation with Ansley that nobody even thought to mention this. There's a lot of trash around. Well, let's think about that, Candace. You say you're going up to this place to pass time while you wait on medicine for your mother that's at the pharmacy. So it's you, Summer, the grandmother, and Boy H, infamous Boy H. And the lady's asking you, what did you do that day? And in describing what you did, from the hospital to the lake, whatever you want to call it, you say there was a lot of trash around. See, that's where you messed up when you said that to her. And I'm sure you probably haven't given it much thought, but the queen stays woke. Why would a sane person take their child swimming where there's a lot of trash around, knowing the child is going to be walking barefoot? And you and the boy and the mother too, if indeed y'all decided to pull your shoes off, go into the water. 2, the water is murky, nasty with dirt. Branches are sticking up out of the water. We see this when Chris Madonna goes back to the same area to interview her about what allegedly took place on that fateful day last year. So as an observer looking at the video content of the area, if indeed it's true they went there, because in the end, bingo card, you all really don't know if that's where they all went. If I'm to believe this story, that's one thing I haven't heard in anyone's content on YouTube. How do you know they actually went there? I'll wait. You see, there's always something you miss in a story. That's why you have to go back and re-listen to the commentary, because you will pick up on things that you didn't dwell on at the time. So let's dwell on that. Where is the proof they actually went there? The only reason why many of us would believe it is because some of us favor boy H and think, well, I don't see him lying. Some people think he did lie. In the end, you don't have any proof to anything. So let's just say they didn't go there. What if they swam somewhere else? Because people are going to say, well, they got a TikTok video. Okay. She filmed the baby in the water. But is that the right location? Who's to say? The only way you're going to know is if indeed a branch is still in the same damn place in the water on the TikTok video as Branch is sitting up in the water when Chris Madonna went and interviewed her. But the thing that's bothersome to me is why in the world would I take the child there, proceed to get into the water if I see it's trash around? That doesn't make any sense to me. Knowing you're going to have your shoes off, you got to walk down into the water, play in the water, murky water at that. What happened at this swim hole? You hear the mother saying, the horse stables, I think. Now, I believe that's an extension of this Warriors Path area. But it's funny that she would say stables, and then they're saying swimming hole. So how far are the stables to the swimming hole? Because sometimes people identify the same place in a different name. So is that what happened? The grandmother called it horse stables. Candace calls it swimming hole. But I do believe they all are in conjunction with one another. Very interesting information. Trash was all around. I've played you the scanner from the beginning of this story, so you can get a gist of what's really going on with this storyline, if you do believe what Candace said. I've played you information. Where did Summer Wells actually go on June 15th? All this is by WJHL. TBI, Summer Wells' case remains a mystery 1 year later. This was uploaded 2 months ago, also WJHL. What is the truth to the disappearance of this child? Let's talk about Hawkins County Humane Society. That ended up playing a role in this saga pertaining to the Wells, although all children are gone and out of sight from their care. I found this in the queue today. This was uploaded 2 days ago. WJHL is also the source. We're always maxed out. Hawkins County Humane Society faces challenges pertaining to the facility. Let's hear what they have to say, because we do know animals were removed this year from the property given up by Candace and the grandmother. Thank you all for joining me. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining me. Happy Friday.
County Humane Society says they are at full capacity for animals, but they say some people are still dropping off their animals right there in the parking lot. They say earlier this week, 2 dogs were dropped off in crates in the shelter parking lot. Then a kitten was put in an unlocked car of a Humane Society board member. We talked with employees at the animal shelter who say right now their current facility is too small to serve the county's animal population.
We are always maxed out. I mean, we have, as you can see, 2 puppies in a crate in the lobby. We have one in Sandy's office. Every dog kennel's full. Our cats, we have 4 to 5 kittens in every cage, and we just don't have room anymore.
The Humane Society tells us they recently applied for stimulus money from the county, and they're waiting to find out if they could soon get a new building.
Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Will they get a new building? Hopefully they will. Animals have to have somewhere to go. One of those dogs was a pit bull that was in one of the crates, dropped off in the parking lot. Interesting. And a kitten. They're maxed out, she says. So why are the people getting these animals and they can't take care of them? Too many animals? Neglect? What is it? Why so many animals? The city has to know, the county, they need help. They need a new facility, probably workers. Do they not have the funding? That's why these people just in a bad way trying to take care of the animals. Luckily, the animals that came from Candace and Don's home, they were able to be adopted. Amen. But now this content is uploaded 2 days ago. The Humane Society is maxed out. Interesting. Let's go back to the letters that Mr. Don has sent out to the news and the public, YouTube, pertaining to the kidnappers, his child, and the reward fund. And that is also a part of this storyline as well. Churchill Rescue Squad turned this money reward fund over to the courts because people were calling in, raising a fuss about how the money was raised. So now that sits in the hands of a judge. When we will get more information, I'll bring you that said commentary. This shows you how sad this case is, how sad it became, pathetic actually, that all these entities ended up being a part of the story. Animals being seized, turned over, blah, 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 complaints about the animals, allegedly animals dead on the property, people showing up at the man's job, different people jumping out of clown cars to immerse themselves in the case, church members having something to say, media managers, this and that, just different people befriending Don Wells and Candace, then turning on them, telling their business on social media, YouTube platforms. Just one thing after the other. But all in all, the child has not been recovered, alive or deceased. So that should tell you something with all the red herrings, the red pickup truck that nobody now talks about anymore. LE doesn't talk about it. TBI doesn't talk about it. Just one thing after the other. Pretty pathetic. WJHL is the source. Did the parents, Mr. Don Wells, write these letters to try to throw this investigation in his favor, that he's an innocent party, he and his wife? He still speaks as if he's in conjunction with his wife. Does she still visit him? Is she putting money on the commissary? Does he have money on the books? What is the relationship between Don and Candace now? Very curious. Don Wells shares letter, Search for Summer reaches 1 year. This was uploaded June 15, 2022. On the day marking 1 year since Summer Wells went missing from her Beach Creek home, Donald Wells issued a statement on the ordeal through the family's website and YouTube channel. Don Wells, who is serving time in jail for violating his probation, wrote the letter during his sentence. The family's website states he has been spending his days at the jail reading the Bible and letters. According to the website, the YouTube video containing Don's statement also features the last photo taken of Don and Summer together. In the video, a song plays, which the website states is an original song by Robin Lane. Hold on 1 second. We're going to play something here.
Daughter's disappearance. Wells issued a statement through the family's website and YouTube channel. He said in part, quote, "With so many thoughts of people harming you, and I know you want to come home, and there's nothing I can do. I'm powerless," end quote. Now, where Summer is and what exactly happened to her still remains a mystery this morning, 1 year later. Searches have continued throughout the year by local officials, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, and volunteer groups.
All right, everybody. That's Ansley Daniel. I don't know. That may not have been Ansley Daniels, but that's the WJHL news desk giving us information pertaining to this saga. I'm going to go on and continue to read from this news News 11 is the source. As I said, according to the website, the YouTube video containing Don's statement also features the last photo taken of Don and Summer together. In the video, a song plays. Website states it's an original song by Robin Lane afterward, and Robin Lane is her Saturday day teacher at church at that time when Summer was last seen going to church. Don's letter entitled "A Letter and Prayer for Summer" can be seen. Since you've been gone, I've been completely devastated. The letter reads, I looked everywhere for you, my beautiful girl. Don Wells went on to write that he thought YouTube would be of assistance in helping locate his daughter, but while it could still be useful, he wrote that it resulted in turmoil for the Wells family. I'm sorry, my beautiful girl, that I completely lost my mind! Exclamation point. With so many thoughts of people harming you, and I know you want to come home, and there's nothing I can do. I'm powerless! Exclamation point. Wells wrote that he hopes to one day have Summer and his sons, who were taken into custody of the Department of Children's Services, back and to be a family again. His letter concludes with the Lord's Prayer and his signature. Summer Wells was first reported missing from her home on Ben Hill Road, June 15, 2021. Amber Alert was issued the next day, and searches spanning miles, days, comprised of hundreds of searches were conducted. That's content number 1 by WJHL, pertaining to a letter he wrote to his said child. WJHL is source number 2, pertaining to his letter to the kidnappers. Thank you for joining me. This was uploaded July 19th, 4 days after the original letter was brought to the public's attention via YouTube. Don Wells, father of missing child. Summer Wells released a letter to his daughter's believed captors while he served jail time connected to a DUI in Hawkins County. To the person or persons responsible for kidnapping Summer, the letter reads, not only have you broken Summer's heart and taken her away from her mother and father, whom love her very much, but you've ruined her chances to become educated, ruining her life! Exclamation point. The letter was released July 18th on the Wells family website and was accompanied by a video reading of the letter. The site states that the letter is from Don, representing his own thoughts, quote unquote, and are his own words. Let's see what these other what the news is going to give us about this alleged letter. Thank you all so much for joining me. If you'd like to donate to the channel, $sign Big Angie, 129 Cash App. All super chats and stickers are welcome during this live. Hello, Kimberly. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you.
Father of missing child Summer Wells wrote a letter to his daughter's believed captors while he served jail time related to a DUI. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kelly Grossfield. The letter was released Monday. In it, Wells pleads for Summer's return. He wrote, you have also broken the hearts of her father and mother and brothers, and in the midst of it all, the commotion ruined our lives. You see, the public blames us, end quote. The letter also references the loss of his drywalling job in January after protesters appeared outside of a work site he was employed at. The Amber Alert for Summer Wells is still ongoing. You can read the full details of that letter by going to WJHL.
All right, everybody. To recap on that said information, you have also broke the hearts of her father, mother, brothers, and in the midst of the commotion, ruined our lives, he wrote. You see, the public blames us. The letter then references the loss of the Wells drywalling job in January after protesters appeared outside of a work site he was employed at. I don't know if we'll ever. You hear him say will. W-E, L-L means we, plural. Nobody will hire my wife, and I've been fired from a job I've had for 13 years. The letter reads, we may end up losing everything. Wells is plural, I'm assuming. So why could she not continue to work for these people doing something? Did the company just not want to hire her once he was arrested, put in jail? Because Candace plays as if she can't find a job doing something. We know you can find a job doing something. You could cross over to another state and do a job. If it's just at the Dollar General or the Dollar Tree. Housekeeping, cleaning, CNA work, caregiver work. You don't have a criminal background that would prevent you from getting employed as a caregiver. Easiest job known to man. It's BS. Absolute BS. Somebody would hire you because somebody kept Don Wells on it as an employee. So I know there would be somebody that would hire her. So he goes on to say we may lose everything. Wells then pleads for Summer's return. When you took our little girl, you took our very lives, Don wrote. Why don't you give our little girl back before God's wrath descends on you? You've broken many hearts, and more especially an innocent 5-year-old girl's heart. Don finished the letter with another plea to be believed captors, asking for Summer's release to investigating authorities. God will hold you accountable for this crime unless you do something to make this right, Don wrote. Please do the right thing and turn our daughter over to the authorities. We're begging you with all our hearts. Please do the right thing. Monday's letter does not mark the first time Don Wells has penned one related to his daughter's disappearance. On June 15, 2022, exactly 1 year since Summer went missing, Don issued a statement within a jailhouse letter describing how he misses her and feels powerless. After thousands of work hours and hundreds of leads, lead investigators told News Channel 11 that there has been little more progress in finding the girl than on June 15, 2021, the day she disappeared. The Amber Alert issue for Summer Wells is still ongoing, and anyone with credible tips regarding her whereabouts is urged to call 1-800-TBI-FIND or email tips to tbi@tennessee.gov. The ongoing Amber Alert lists the following details. For Summer, 5 years old at the time of disappearance, sex, female, race, white, hair, blonde, eyes, blue, height, 3 feet, weighing 40 pounds, missing from Rogersville, Tennessee, missing since June 15, 2021. The search for Summer Wells continues. For the latest developments, stay updated on News Channel 11. Search for Summer tab at wjhl.com. News 11 is the source for the said information. So he's telling the captors, do the right thing, bring her back. Do the right thing. God's wrath descends on you. You've broken many hearts. More especially an innocent 5-year-old girl's heart, quote unquote. Let's dissect those words. You've broken the heart of a 5-year-old. Anybody not paying attention to what was said right there? If you wrote this letter this year and given to somebody to release to the public, which we know somebody had to release it. Somebody also had to put the letter up on the YouTube channel because he's incarcerated. So Donald couldn't have done it himself. So that means he either had his friend do it or Candace, whichever. You said she's 5 years old. Stay woke. If you do believe the child is alive, wouldn't you say she was 6 years old? Because if I'm in rotation in believing my child is alive, I'm going to call her present tense. That's number one. 2, whatever age she would be right now, which would be 6, because allegedly her birthday was in February, then she'd be 6 in 2022. So wouldn't I say you've broken a 6-year-old's heart? See, you all don't listen to stuff. That's why I always tell you, everything you need to know is in the details. The beginning of this saga starts with a dispatch call, 911. They said she took a walk, referring to Candace Bly. They meaning Candace and Don. 2 people interchangeably calling 911. Why? Mentioning the resurrection and this and that. Not something you say days after a child goes missing. You're already deeming her deceased. The letter that he writes of calling her earthly father, that's recent. From your earthly father. So that means you already believe she's dead. Now one could say, well, it's been a year, Angela. He could think that now. Of course, sure. But you were assuming the child was dead just 3 days after you all called the dispatch. Why is that? Because that's not popular conversation for a child missing. 3 days later, 1 week later, I think you would try to be positive. And as I said, both of you calling 911 in the beginning, but when you're interviewed and you hear her brief commentary on this audio, you don't hear Candace mentioning about taking a walk. Later in that interview, you will hear her talk about why I don't walk, because of bears, coyotes, blah, 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 which led me to believe she had been hearing what people were saying about her on social media, YouTube. So she wanted to let the world know, I heard what you've been saying about me. So let me change it up and say, no, I didn't take a walk. But yeah, you told somebody that because that's mentioned in the dispatch call. So you want me to believe that lady doesn't know how to type into a computer and type what you said. That's why they hired her. Because one, she could hear and dissect information properly and type what you said into the computer. So what we're going to do, blame the dispatcher? That she made a mistake in taking in the information from Candace Bly and the father. Because down the road, as the story unfolded miserably, you never hear the two ever say, the mother left the property, took a walk. Because why would she walk when she has a car? And we already know it's dangerous to walk on the side of a road that has no sidewalks. I think that's common sense anywhere. And Candace does not strike me as a walker. Because you slipped up. Perhaps you did leave the property. And you didn't really mean to say that. So you had to catch yourself and double back once you started hearing what people were saying on social media. And you had to change the story when you got interviewed by Mrs. Ansley to say, no, I don't walk anywhere. Is that what you did, Candace? Very interesting. WJHL is my last source pertaining to information from Donald Wells to his child. This is his letter to Summer. It was uploaded the 3rd of this month and updated the 4th. Thank you for joining me. Don Wells, the father of missing Hawkins County child, Summer Wells, has released a letter to his missing daughter. According to a post on Find Summer Wells' website, Summer Wells was reported missing from her home in Beach Creek area, Hawkins County, June 15, 2021. Don Wells is currently serving time in jail in connection to an October DUI arrest. In February, he was sentenced to 11 months, 29 days in jail with the possibility of probation after 180 days and the completion of an alcohol rehabilitation program. According to his media manager, Wells had his 6-month hearing Wednesday with a judge who decided that Wells will be released on October 30th without having to complete any rehabilitation. Why is that? I find that very strange. I think I've just read that. Let me play some content pertaining to this mess.
Tonight at 11, Don Wells, the father of Summer Wells, the Hawkins County girl who went missing more than a year ago, has learned when he'll be released from jail. He's currently serving jail time for a DUI arrest back in October. Tonight, his media manager says he had his 6-month hearing, and the judge decided that Don Wells will be released October 30th without having to complete rehabilitation. His original sentencing determined he would need to complete an alcohol rehab program, but again, a judge decided he would not need to complete that. Tonight, Don Wells also wrote a new letter to his daughter Summer. It was released as a YouTube video. You can find both on WJHL.com.
All right. Why would you not have him complete a rehab program when he is a known alcoholic, Judge? You see, you're letting us know that you don't even care about the welfare of the children. Because one would have to say, well, how the hell are they going to get their children back? Thank you, Tupelo. How will they get their children back if they're not following through with a rehab? And people are only rehabbed in the jail because they don't have access to the alcohol and the drugs. But most people who are addicts, when they are released from jail, it doesn't matter if they did 6 months, 3 months, 5 years, the first thing they go to is a crack, rock, meth, and or liquor bottle. Why? I do not know. Mental, perhaps. That'll be the first thing that he goes and gets when he gets out of jail in October is a liquor bottle. And God forbid he jumps his tail back on YouTube, spewing rhetoric and crying and moaning. God help us all. And the fact that he uses YouTube as an excuse, oh, I thought they were going to help. I thought they were going to be a useful tool. Well, how would they be useful when most of the people who are talking and bantering with you. They're just as crazy as you are. You and your damn wife. A bunch of peas in the pod. How about that? And you're bantering and cursing and using racial slurs, calling women derogatory names, and you think you would be fit to raise children? A girl child? See, you got what you put out. And that showed us that you and your wife are not worthy of having children. You've had children in the past, and you didn't keep those kids. And that's before you even met Candace. She had her own set of children. She lost custody of those children. So here you all are, 6 degrees of separation, meeting up in the universe to only exact the same deadly behavior. We'll say asinine behavior because those children are alive, allegedly. But you lose your children when you two link up 13 years later. Don't you find that ironic? Everybody's lost their child. These two mesh together in the universe to lose their children together. And you don't see that as some strange irony. Come on now. The universe wasn't playing games. The universe knew. We're going to put these two mishaps together. And 13 or so years later, they are going to repeat the same nasty behavior they exacted with their other children, even though they weren't together in a relationship, but they are doomed. They were doomed separate many moons ago, and they're going to be doomed again with these 4 itty-bitty spiders because they didn't change their ways. And it is sad to see a man almost 60 years of age refusing to grow up, and a woman near 40 acting the same. Reckless, careless, gross negligence, children, and self. Can't keep a good friend. Can't keep a stable home running. Lacks in appearance. Vaguely drunk and high. And why would the state give these people their children back? Where is Candace Bly now? I do not know. But I think we know she's not getting her kids back because she would have gotten them back before 22 came into fruition. She and Don had ample enough time to get their children back. 21. June to December is a mighty long time. Stay woke now. He didn't go to jail till February of 22. So why do they not have their children back? Because they chose to be misfits that they already were. And those same judge would give their kids back. And maybe that is why the judge stupidly didn't make him give him the rehabilitation when he gets out in October, because that judge possibly already knows they're not getting their children back. Stay woke now. People talk. The courts talk to each other. They relay information to each other. Okay, judge, he doesn't need to be rehabbed because it's just him and the wife. The kids ain't coming back. The state ain't giving them their children back. So don't worry about rehab. If he wants to go out there and get drunk, turned up, hit a tree, kill somebody, don't matter. They ain't going to have their kids in their custody. I tell you all, always listen to the information. The answers are always in the details. Where is Summer Wells? What happened to this child? June 15, 2021. Who is responsible for her disappearance? Her parents, grandmother, another child, her siblings? Was this a cover-up? One of the children hurt her by mistake. She fell, had an accident. What? The fact that she hasn't been recovered, either alive or dead, should tell you something. That this was meticulous, perhaps. Because that's really the only way you can get into a situation of not being arrested for a crime is if you thoroughly planned it out. So was this a ruse on June 15th to go into Kingsport, go get rid of the child on that day? Oh, I've got to go take my mother to the doctor. She already had an appointment. How did it go? Because allegedly she's seen at a hospital. So did she have an appointment already at the hospital, or this was a spur of the moment to go what? They talked about it that morning, or they talked about that night to take the mother to the doctor. What is the truth? See, that's where we get befuddled trying to figure out, when did this orchestration fall into place? Because I somehow believe this is orchestrated. And the only reason why I think this crime is orchestrated is because the child hasn't been retrieved, hasn't been found alive or deceased. And TBI told it best. This case is out of the norm. And Amber Alerts are only issued when there is probable cause to believe the child was taken by another two-legged creature with an identifying car. Stay woke. That is when you heard about the red truck. Because a lot of you question it. Why don't I have an Amber Alert for this child's case? Why they don't have an Amber Alert? Because there has to be an identifying factor for the Amber Alert to be issued. So somebody said, we saw her with someone and in something, and I believe she ain't coming back. Who was talking? We hear of neighbors intervening, giving their 2 cents, which ain't worth a damn to me. Because as I said, nothing is panned out. But perhaps there's somebody else, plural. They've given information to law officials, but we don't know who they are because they were smart enough to stay quiet and not go to the news and not reveal themselves. Could it be somebody has information pertaining to knowing of Summer's whereabouts and what happened to her? Something's been seen on a camera, but that information has not been relayed to the public. Bet you didn't think about that, did you? You're too busy worrying about certain people jumping out of clown cars wanting to be seen on YouTube or the YouTube channel to say, yeah, I know what happened. Yeah, she did this. And every other month, this person's got a different story to tell about Summer Wells. Could it be somebody else knows something, but they are lying in the cut, and you don't know who they are? Because they've made sure to stay invisible. They didn't need YouTube for verification and validation. They didn't need to put their name out there with the news as to be haunted, taunted, harmed. But they know a little something about June 15th. Could that be the truth? Did her parents hurt her? Did her parents discard her in the Beach Creek community? How many people know that the child's discarded in the community? How many people know where she actually is? How many people participated? When did the orchestration start? That morning, the day before, 2 days before? What is the truth? If you'd like to join this panel, the link is in the chat. Feel free to hit the link. I'm 1 hour into this live. Thank you for joining me. As I said, be a part of the solution, not the problem. Where's Summer Wells? Somebody knows something. Somebody definitely knows something about this child. It's just a matter of who's going to tell the truth. Hello, T. How are you, dear? I still think Grandma took her body with her. Cherie, how could she have done that, sweetheart? They've already searched the property before the grandmother ever left Tennessee. There's no way the mother could have taken her up north because the grandmother was still living on the property while searches were exacted after they reported her missing. And what would be the point in taking a dead body up in your car when you could just leave her wherever you discarded her? That doesn't really make sense, huh? Hello, everybody in the chat. My point is that somebody in the neighborhood knows possibly something or saw something. That's the point I'm making. I don't mean they're involved. I'm talking about surveillance. may have heard, seen something. Not actually a co-conspirator. You forget there are lots of people that see things, but they don't tell it. As for fear of retribution, retaliation. Because they don't know these people well and they don't know what they're capable of. So they don't say anything. It happens all the time. It's always somebody that knows something. They just don't say anything. They don't let it be known that they've spoken with the police and TBI. They haven't spoken to a YouTuber or the news, which would be very smart not to. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. Hope your head feels better, T. Thank you all for joining me. If you want to join this live stream, please hit the link. Be respectful to the hostess in the chat. Do not use any YouTube names. Thank you for joining me. Hello, Lisa. I don't think anybody extra would have gotten involved because that means you're talking about what, a stranger. They don't have any other friends and associates. I believe this is all Candace's and Grandis is doing and the father. They're linked some type of way. Which order, I do not know, but I believe the first order would really be Candace to me, because you have to count the odds of a child going missing when they were with the mother all day. That's just too rare of a coincidence. You're living in a holler. People just don't go up people's driveways, lurking on their property. I live here in East Tennessee, and I know how the people live here. And I haven't heard of any children going missing in rural areas that live back up in the woods. It's just rare. Because it's too risky during during daylight hours to go do anything. Well, I don't know anything about their neighbors. I can't say that their neighbors are shady. You're only hearing about the people who decided they want to immerse themselves on YouTube. That's not a fair number of people that live back in Beach Creek community. Because I'm sure there's some decent people that live back there. You're speaking of one or two people that want to be seen on YouTube. That don't count. That's just my personal opinion. Hit the link if you have an opinion pertaining to the disappearance of Summer Wells 14 months later. Where is she? Are law officials holding crucial information to the vest as to have an arrest? They know who did it, but they don't have actual proof. Is that the reason why there have been no arrests pertaining to the disappearance of this child? How many people are involved? All the parents and the grandmother? Is the boy who was with them, Mr. H, does he know something that he's not told law officials? Is his version different than what he told Chris McDonough that he gave to Ellie? What is the truth? Why did everybody want to be seen so badly pertaining to the disappearance of this child? Want to be on social media? Because normal people don't behave this way. That's why you know there's something wrong with all the people involved. They all need validation. Don't you find that interesting? Allie, these neighbors, people that work with Don, everybody wants to be heard. But you don't hear these other people in Beach Creek talking to YouTubers or to the news. That's why I tell you to stay woke. They're minding their business, as they should. Because people do this all over the world. They don't get in other people's business. And you can't say you're helping when you're making the situation worse. And you heard Ms. Earhart say that during the commentary I played. You've made the case worse by interfering. And she's a law official and she can give her opinion because they are the ones investigating the case. And the time they spend playing I Spy with a YouTuber, social media, Facebook groups, random calls, letters, complaints to the Humane Society, complaints to the Hawkins County Sheriff's Department. That's taking valuable time away from them investigating and trying to find the child. And a lot of you just refuse to realize and own that these people were meddling. I didn't call Hawkins County Sheriff's Department. I've never called them, TBI, or the Humane Society. I had no reason to call. For what? Because I don't have anything to do with the little girl missing. And I wasn't about to get up there calling, having my damn phone number on no caller ID box. For what reason? Because I'm not thirsty like that, needing attention, to be seen. And that's why I said all that meddling was a waste of time. Because the child is still missing. And I don't believe in meddling in things that don't concern me. Hello?
Hey, Queen, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Good. I just wanted to say that I agree with everything you're saying. My thing is, I would not be surprised if a lot of things that they're not telling us.
Sorry about that.
And like you said before, can you hear me?
Barely, yes.
Okay. Am I breaking up or? Let me see.
I can hear you now.
Okay. I agree with a lot of things that you had said, and my thing is, I would not be surprised if TBI knows a lot of things that they're not letting out, because, as we talked about before, they don't have to tell us nothing. And something in my gut is just telling me that they know something, but they ain't releasing it.
And what would that
to
be?
the public? They probably know what happened. Maybe these the children, the boys, have talked and said some things, because children's will talk. They'll tell you things.
When I saw that, what do you think the children told TBI and the law officials?
They could have told them, well, I didn't see my sister on the 15th. Allegedly. I'm just saying that. I'm not saying they could have said that, or they could have said, well, I seen my daddy do this to my sister, or I seen my mama do this. Or no, she wasn't there on the 15th. We ain't seen her since, 3 days before that. Children are sponges. They listen and watch everything. And it could have been I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Do you believe that she made it back to the house after this swimming hole incident?
No. Honestly, no. No.
So you do not believe that she made it back? You don't believe she made it back to the house?
No.
So what do you think happened? She was discarded after the swimming hole, leaving Kingsport? After they went to the stores, and they're driving on their way back to Rogersville. Do you believe she was discarded on the route back to Rogersville?
Because I have not seen any camera surveillance with her in a store or anywhere else.
Well, they're not going to show all that. You got to remember something. They can't show all that. Because that's a part of investigation.
That's right.
So what I'm asking you is, do you believe, after they went shopping and went to all these places, smoke shop, the grocery store, do you believe she was discarded on the way home from those places? And do you believe the grandmother was in the car when the child was discarded before they pulled up to 110 Benson Circle Hill Way or whatever?
I believe all this happened before the 15th.
Why is that?
I don't know why my spirit just says that, but I believe that this is I feel like it's kind of like Giselle and Jacqueline situation. I believe this is kind of not the same situation, but kind of. I think that child was gone
Okay,
before
well,
the
let's go here.
15th.
Well, let's go here. If you believe that the child was
Okay.
gone before the 15th, then that means Boy H's testimony of being there that day, then he's lying. So then that means you're
Yes.
saying the child is lying.
Yes.
Why would Boy H have a reason to lie about that day? Then also, if you're going to say that Boy H is a liar, then Allie's a liar and her mother is
Yes.
also a liar.
Yes.
Why
Yes,
would they
ma'am.
lie about being? Why would they all lie on her that they were with him on that day? He's also talked to Chris Madonna. Don't you think somebody would have came out and told the truth and said this boy, his mom, and grandmother are lying to the public and to this retired detective and spinning this lie on YouTube?
Who would come out and tell the truth?
You have to think about everything. I beg your pardon?
Who would come out and tell the truth? If only
No, you're not listening to
grandma.
what I'm saying. You're not listening to what I'm saying. I'm talking about a law official. Somebody would come out to corroborate to say he was there with them. What I'm saying is why would a law official not come out and discredit him and his mom and grandmother to say, we can't tell you everything that went on and what he's told us about that day, but we have confirmed through sources, video, that he was with them. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
Because what you have to tell yourself, if you're going to say that he's a liar, you also have to put Allie and his mom and the grandmother in the hole with him. And then you have to also come up with a reason why would these three people want to immerse themselves in this case and lie on Candace and the grandmother.
Right. I just think it was something else going on that they were involved in. I think the story is very deep than what we know. As far as, you know, when you look back at Jacqueline Trezell, I just really think that TBI know more than what we know.
I like for people to explain.
And they're just letting us spin our story.
See, my thing is, this case has gone on a whole year. So you're going to have to try to make me understand why this boy would have a reason to lie on her when he's made it clear to Chris Madonna, I just wanted to get out of the house. I wanted to get out. And that's understandable because he's a kid. Kids like to move and shake and get out. So why would he lie about that day that he was with this woman and her kid and saw the grandmother? Then the grandmother confirms the same version. Yeah, we all were together, blah, blah, blah. Why would this boy immerse himself in this lie? Because you also hear that Candace went to see him. This is what he tells everybody. She came to talk to me, to see what I said. So you want me to believe a kid is going to go through all this motions and also his mother jump on the lie? Why? Just why?
It would happen. And I don't.
But you can't. Listen, you can't just throw it out there and not have a reason why they would lie. Why would they want to lie on Candace Bly? Make me understand. That's all I'm asking.
Turning on each other.
I mean, but for what?
Turning on each other for it could be any reason, and this is just my opinion. Turn on each other for any reason. You know, I had we'll say a foster son that he could come up with, oh my gosh, some very fantastic stories. He had my house shot up and at one time, and
so listen at this right here.
I know, but I'm just saying that.
Let's just go here. H is lying, and then Candace jumps in and says, "Well, to Chris, most of what he says is the truth, but he got the order wrong." See, that's the one part you forgot about. So now you're saying that Candace is going along with his version, half of it anyway, of June 15th. This makes no sense, Tasha.
None of it makes sense to me.
Let me explain.
None of it does.
But let me explain this to you. The reason why I know he's not lying is for the very reason that Candace allegedly went to his house And then she's also told Chris Madonna that the boy was with her, but he just got the order wrong. What would be the purpose of even asking him to go with her? But then it's a lie. He just jumps out of a cat's hat and starts lying on this woman saying, yeah, I was with her. The grandmother said, yeah, he was with us. His mama said, yeah. Her mama says, yes. And then you go double back to say, what did you tell the police? If you were never there, you would tell people, no, H wasn't with me. So see, that's the part that don't make no sense.
I didn't think about that. You're right. You are right. I did not think about that.
How easy would it be for Candace to just say, I don't know what H is talking about. He wasn't with me. I didn't pick him up.
Right.
We didn't pick him up. The grandmother would have said the same thing, don't you think? No, we never picked him up. No, I never saw him that day. What is he talking about? He's lying.
Yeah, that makes sense. That does make sense. I didn't think about that because it's just so crazy that, over 14 months, this is just crazy. But you're right about that. I didn't think about that because I'm just thinking, what are they TBI holding back from us? What do they know?
It'll be the same thing of what Cal City. They know about the child being dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They just haven't told the public. They just haven't told the public that we know she's dead.
Right.
But I think they know that she is dead. That's why they keep searching in the same area.
Exactly. And that was my thing, because they wouldn't keep going back to that same area. Because it happened when my nephew passed like that. And they wouldn't keep going back to that same area if they didn't know a certain thing. So, and you're thinking about that, and you're right. So he probably was, H probably was telling the truth, 15. But something transpired. I believe that. Something transpired between him getting dropped off and Grandis and Candace on her way home with that baby. Something happened. And I really believe that TBI knows, but they ain't telling us. They're not telling us. And it's really, it's sad, but do you
believe the child was alive inside of the car when she filmed that brief video?
She didn't look like it, but I don't know. But she didn't look like she was.
Well, if she didn't look like she was alive, what do you think happened to her?
No, man, I don't think she looked like, in that video, I don't think she looked like she was alive.
But I'm just saying, if you believe that she wasn't alive, what do you think could have happened to her?
She could have. No, they do drugs up there on that hill. She could have got a hold of some drugs.
It's amazing how you all always say that a child could have gotten drugs. What makes you all think a child could have gotten the drugs? I always just wonder when people throw that out there. Why would you think the child got into drugs?
Because a lot of what I've heard, a lot of people are careless with the fentanyl or whatever they do. And they leave it out, and it doesn't take much for a child to get into that. A child get into that, and they get a hold to it.
It could be that the child maybe had hurt herself, or the mother hurt the child, or the mother handed her off to somebody, sold her, or she hurt the child deliberately, because children are abused by their parents every day.
Yes, and that's true. She could have got into some drugs, and it could have been something in that nasty water that her body couldn't fight off, that got up in her, parts. And
I'm going to address somebody's comment in the chat. I don't understand why I take the video in the first place, Shady. The possibility is that Candace filmed the video for verification that the child was making her way back to Beach Creek in the back seat of that car because she knew she was about to dump her baby. Stay woke now. Possibly that's why the video was filmed. The infamous video of the child looking dead in the back seat of the car. Could it be this was an orchestrated crime, as I said before? And the verification of the video is to verify that Summer Wells was in her custody before going home and making up this ruse that she was kidnapped.
Right. Because I don't believe she was kidnapped. That I will never believe. I will never believe that she was kidnapped. I don't believe nobody ran up on there, came up on the hill and took that child. That I don't believe.
Well, I don't believe anybody went up there to and kidnapped her either. I don't.
No. Nope.
That's the one story I don't believe. The narrative. I do not believe she was kidnapped from there because, as I said, I'm an East Tennessean and I know how we live here. And the rule is, not to go up anybody's driveway. Back up in rural counties, you know better.
Yeah.
Because you don't even know what you're going to get halfway up the path. Anything could jump out.
Oh, yeah.
A person could jump out with a gun, a rifle, AR-15. You know better. They may have cameras.
Amen.
So you don't know. So it's too risky.
Yes, very risky.
And a lot of the properties here also have no trespassing signs, keep out signs. So you're a fool to go back up in there and you don't know where the hell you're going back up in there to.
Right. Exactly. And it ain't about, I don't think it was about no sex trafficking or anything. No, I don't believe none of that. I don't believe nobody came up in there and did that. This is something else.
Flora May,
and I believe. I'm sorry. Say it again.
I'm talking to somebody in the chat. Flora May, what are you talking about? Sheriff Jr., what are you talking about? Hit the link if you have an opinion. I can't dissect text messages in the chat. If you have something you'd like to say pertaining to this case, just hit the link. Go ahead.
Okay, and like we discussed before, it was like, all her pictures from before she got the buzz cut, pretty little girl, but she wasn't looking like a pretty little girl when she got missing. And so, was you taking her for what? I can't even see nobody really want to take her for drugs.
I don't understand what you're saying.
As far as if the parents had owed money to somebody, it's like, oh, we're going to take her because she's a pretty looking girl. Well, she wasn't because they didn't cut all her hair off. So she wasn't a pretty looking girl.
But you have to remember something. When a person is deviant and they are sadists, they're not going to really care what the child looks like unless they have a preference. If it's indeed there was a swap for a child for whatever reason, the various reasons, the sadist isn't going to care. They're going to take the child because they're sick.
Yeah. And there's a lot of sick people out here. That's true. That is very true.
Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm calling you from Florida.
Okay, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I just wanted to get in on the convo because you're making so much sense, and I agree that the reason for that video was to fit the narrative of whatever was going to transpire in the next few hours. There's no reason to take a random video of your child in a back seat while she's sleeping, unless the child is doing something funny or making you laugh or singing. It doesn't fit.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you the same question as I asked Tasha. Do you believe Boy H was with them on June 15th at the 20th?
Yes, I do.
Do you believe he made up all this? So you don't believe this is a lie?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do you believe the child was discarded on that way home from Kingsport?
Either discarded, but I would say more like handed over.
Okay, handed over. Okay, so if she's handed over, then she wouldn't have been dead in that video.
Right, but the fact that she's all dressed up in a pretty little pink suit, it's just creepy.
Okay, so are you saying when you see her in that video, you're thinking she's dressed up to go with somebody?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Tasha, what do you think about that comment that she was dressed to go be handed off to somebody?
Oh my goodness! On June 15th, and sweat outfits,
long sleeve shirt,
pants. No, that's hot. That's too hot for a baby. No, she wasn't. I don't believe she was dressed up to go with somebody. That's too hot.
So
hell, you was gonna kill her. I'm sorry. You was gonna kill her. Put her on that.
could it possibly be she was dressed because maybe her mother or somebody beat her and they wanted to cover her up while she's sitting in the car in case you're pulled over? Hello?
Very possible.
I think that's possible. Very.
Yep, I agree.
Perhaps the child had injuries, so let me make sure she's covered up in case we have to get out the car stops, she's pulled over. I mean, you never know, just a theory.
Yes.
Right. But ain't nobody dressing their children in winter weather gear in June.
Okay, and I will agree with that. That is strange.
Yeah, I'm in Ohio.
They did do it.
Okay, so Desire, let's go here. You said you believe she was handed off before making it to the house or at the house?
Before.
So
yes.
That means, think about what you're saying now. If indeed she was handed off before making it back to 110, that means the grandmother is an eyewitness to the handoff.
Unless they dropped the grandmother off first.
And went back out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't there something that a neighbor said she saw that she heard her go out twice?
Well, she slipped up on her own and said she left and took a walk.
Well,
dispatch call that I played.
True. Yeah. And there's a reason why that 911 call has not.
But I'm not betting on any neighbor around there for their commentary due to how they carry themselves on YouTube.
I agree.
I would believe. I would believe somebody who has not been talking on YouTube before I would believe somebody that became a YouTuber.
But you can't throw out the baby with the bathwater. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes there's a grain of truth in all the lies.
Well, it could be, but that's the whole point, that when you carry yourself a certain way, you have to always remember it's going to be hard for some people, to believe what you're saying is the truth, because when you're coming after the fact, it has no validity to anybody, because what people are going to say is, why weren't you spinning these webs in the beginning? And if the cops are downplaying what you first said about, let's say we were talking about a certain person or scream, then that should tell you a whole lot.
I don't know if I believe the whole scream thing either, though. But, I think the police know exactly what's going on, but they just can't prove it. I do. They're not going to tell us for the integrity of the investigation, but it's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
Well, what do you think they have then?
I think they have a suspect or two. They probably have the cameras from the different places that they went to see if the baby was there with them, if she was not, if she was dressed in a bathing suit, if Hunter was in the car, if the grandmother was in the car, who stayed in, who came out, how long they were in the store for, Okay. But I think they're waiting for the linchpin, just one more thing, and they want it to stick. If this goes to trial, they want a conviction.
So what could they possibly be waiting for?
That I couldn't tell you. Some corroborative evidence.
And who are you pointing these fingers to, man?
I think that Candace is the number one. I think that if the father knew something, he knew it afterwards. I don't know that, but I'm like 50-50 on that. But I'm 99.9 on Candace.
Somebody in the chat says no one is looking at the hood of the jacket. It's sideways. That means she was pulled up from the side to put her on the milk jugs. Midwest, hit the link. Explain what you mean. She was propped up on purpose. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know.
So basically, you're saying what? She was propped up because she was already dead. Propped up against the milk jugs. What are you saying? Hit the link.
Queen, my theory, right?
Laura says he was. Who is he? He could have easily abducted her. Who is he? He who? I keep telling you all, you don't live here. You're not going back up in that holler, up no driveway. Just listen to what I'm saying to you.
Queen.
I'm not saying people don't get hurt. I'm not saying people don't get shot. I'm not saying people don't get robbed. But I'm telling you, if somebody was going to go do anything nefarious to a family or whomever up a driveway, you can best believe he ain't going by himself.
Queen,
because
I always thought that something happened at that dirty, disgusting water, because that water is filth. And from what I understand, sometimes the horse poop is thrown in there. This little girl was a little ball of dynamite. Probably as soon as she saw the water, she wanted to go in the water. She went in, fearless. God only knows if she had an open wound, if she swallowed the water. Sepsis might have set in. And by the time they got home, this child was pretty much unconscious. They didn't know what to do. She might have called Don. Don came like a maniac, and I think maybe that's when the cover-up started. But
well, let's talk about her propped up against the milk. Let's say she's propped up. Did that mean you already knew she was dead before you even called Don?
Possibly, or close to it.
Right.
Or close.
Well, you got to remember, they called around 6:27, 6:30. That's hours.
Because they had to get a plan in place.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that watering hole.
Oh.
She states in her interview to Ansley, she makes sure to mention there was a lot of trash. See, this is where she traps herself. What if there's a lot of trash, then why would you let your child go in the water? Come on, let's go somewhere else. This isn't clean. This isn't safe.
She's not Mother of the Year. I'd say most parents would say, you're not swimming in there. Let's go. But, she's not the Mother of the Year.
Yeah, okay. I get it. She doesn't care. As some people have said on YouTube, that's not a place where many people in the area go to swim. They have other places they go where the water is clearer and cleaner.
Well, yeah. Okay, so why there? It's a little bit isolated. It's small.
Yeah, because she don't like a lot of people. What's been said by Candace on YouTube. She don't like being around a lot of people. Okay, so let's swing that. You don't like being around a lot of people, but you don't mind subjecting your child to dirty, murky water with mud and branches.
Obviously, it's on video.
Well, we know that.
You know what I mean? You can't argue with the video. That little girl, I could just see her jumping out of that car and running ahead of everybody and just getting in that water.
Well, that's the whole purpose of her going, though, Desire.
I know.
It wouldn't matter what kind of water it was. They took her there to allegedly take her to swim. So it wouldn't matter what kind of water it was. She knew to go into the water because that's why she's there.
Right. But I think most parents would say, no, we're not going to. I don't think she cared. I don't think.
I get it. Okay. I get it.
I don't think she saw anything unforeseen, like maybe some kind of bacteria settling in the child.
Well, I think we know that from how she lives in her house.
Right, exactly. You're not worried about rusted nails. So
that's a good point. She doesn't care about herself, her own hygiene. She walks around with a buzz haircut, looking like a dude. The house is unkempt. All the rooms are open, and children rooms facing the front door. Anybody can see them changing their clothes. No privacy for the children. A dungeon to go down through the kitchen. Very just jacked up.
And this is what I mean. And that little girl was having a blast in that water. Did she get bit by a snake? Did she cut herself on some branches or glass? Or now we got to get out of here. And I can't take her to the hospital because God only knows what they'll find or what they won't find.
So let's go there. So let's go there then. So that means Boy H is lying then when he was asked by Chris Madonna, how did she look when she was in the car on your way back home? He said she looked okay. And then remember he said at the store, wait. He said at the store while they were in there shopping, she was fine and she was playing a game.
And that's very possible. This could have been a very slow onset. Who knows after they dropped off H if they went straight home? It might have taken time.
Oh, I don't think they went straight home. I think that's the drop-off point. When after they dropped Boy H off, I do believe that is when Summer Wells was discarded after coming out of Kingsport.
But it's very possible that, she was joking around with him and she was watching videos with him. But when human beings have that kind of potential bacteria in their blood system, especially a child, that's a very little body. It could take very short time, especially, who knows, maybe she could have been saved. We don't know. Yeah. All speculation, but I think something happened between that watering hole and after they dropped H off.
Well, let's go here. All the searches that they have conducted visibly and told to the public were back in Beach Creek. Why do you think they keep going back to Beach Creek?
Because you would think that would be first of all, because she said the child was abducted from here. That's the first reason. Of course, they're going to go to that area. You know, if I call the police and say my child was abducted from my yard, and
Yeah, okay, but the same area.
well, Beach Creek is a general area, right? That's their neighborhood, right?
Yeah. Well, my understanding is they have gone back, sweetheart, to the same
I
areas.
see what you're saying. Yeah, I see. Because they don't.
You can't think about. Just think about this. Why would they keep going back to the same area when the area is, God knows, vastly? That's the point I'm trying to make.
Maybe because they feel that a dead child was maybe at least temporarily stored somewhere in the back until they had more time to move her. You know, this is all speculation. I don't think
I know. Okay, so let's go there. So why would somebody put her somewhere back there and then go back and move her?
Right. And where would they take her?
What would be the purpose of moving you? You're already in open land that nobody can see, because you got to remember, in the month of June, shrubs and all the grass would be high. You wouldn't know she's back there unless you were back there doing something.
Maybe a guilty conscience returning to the scene of the crime. Who knows? You'd have to get into the head of the criminally minded people to think that way. And if you don't have that kind of mind, it's very hard to get there. You know,
I just can't see going back to a place when you know that once you report the child missing, let's say you're the person related to the child, it is too risque to go back to the scene and move her body. Because you should know that you're going to be under surveillance. A stranger, yes, perhaps. But that's the point. I'm a stranger, so I don't have any ties to her, so I can dump her anywhere. That's why I keep trying to tell everybody. You have to pay attention to the details. A stranger will dump you where they see fit. And they don't have to have a specific place, because nobody knows that I'm linked to the victim. So I can dump you anywhere. I could have assaulted the child and left her on the same property. If that's the case, see, stay woke.
Well,
do what I gotta do, strangle the child, suffocate or whatever, walk off, go out.
I still think, and I know you disagree, I still think that there's at least one other person who helped afterwards.
Why?
Because otherwise it's just the two of them with this grand scheme. It seems like they needed like a third person. Like,
why would you need a third person? She's 5. She's not a big person. Why do you need? Why? I make you think about everything that you say. Why do you need help with a 5-year-old? A 5-year-old can be concealed in anything. Why would you need help with somebody that only weighs 40 pounds?
I don't know. I don't know that. I just feel that there had to
You can't see, big as Candace was, discarding a 5-year-old? Come on now.
No, I can see that. But my thing has always been, who was in the car taking that video? We don't know that it was grandma. We don't know that. We assume.
So she's going to go pick up a complete stranger to be a part of helping the kid.
No, not a complete stranger, but someone.
Okay, well, let's go there. We're going to chop it up then. You have seen all the people that have been affiliated with Candace Bly and Donald Wells in this storyline.
Yes.
Who could you come up with that you would think would be in the car filming a dead baby? Come on, I'm ready.
Oh, Queen, as many as good people are around there, I think there's also that many bad people. I'm not going to put on any names or initials, but you've researched this case. You know the kind of quality of people that they.
No, because I'm not getting ready to badmouth everybody that lives in Beach Creek. So no,
I know. I didn't say that. I said that there's a lot of good people there, but there's also a lot of bad people, like every neighborhood.
So basically, what are you trying to say? Somebody that runs their mouth all the time. She went picked her up to help her.
No, truthfully, I don't even consider her the one that.
Well, explain to me. Well, explain to me who you mean, because see, this is the thing about a story. You got to make it make some kind of sense.
Well,
when you're talking about she's already in the car with her mother. So I'm riding home. I got a dead baby in my car. I'm going to get rid of her. Why do I need to go get somebody else to dump my baby that can tell on me?
Oh no, it's not 100%.
You left that part out.
Well, only because I'm wondering who's videotaping in the car. Who's that person videotaping? That's my point.
Why can't be Grandis?
It could.
You all want to keep popping up. It's somebody else. I don't recognize the voice. Sometimes you can't recognize the person's voice because one, you never knew who Candace was, and you never knew who Grandis was before you heard her talk on the news. So you never heard her talk to know if it was her or not.
Absolutely, I agree. I'm just saying.
That's the point I'm trying to make. Nobody knew what Grandis even sounded like to say, "Oh, that's somebody else." How can it be somebody else when you never even heard the woman speak?
You know, if I had to make a wager, I would say it was grandma. If I had to make a wager, I'd say the odds are on that it was. But nothing is 100% in this case. Nothing. It's speculation. It's, you know, guesses. Nothing. Anything can be true, and nothing can be true.
Yeah, one thing I'm just going to say, I don't believe nobody else was involved, because let me tell you something. Candace would not risk bringing somebody else into the fold to tell on her.
And you are probably right.
I don't believe that.
Probably right. And I'm sure her husband, you know, must have said, you know, I'll be home, we'll take care of it, you know, whatever. And you're probably right. She would have called Don, and Don would have taken the reins from there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Let's talk about the red truck. They no longer speak of the red truck as being a part of the storyline as an eyewitness. Could it be as with the case with the DC sniper, the red truck is actually the person that took the child? If you all want to be this kidnap theory.
I don't believe the kidnap theory. I really don't.
I don't either. I don't either.
Remember the DC sniper, they were telling people what to look for, right? They said, this person is an eyewitness. Please give us this information. If you see this van, whatever. But all along, that information was the actual suspect and not a eyewitness.
Right.
They lied.
Yeah. I think the red truck is a red herring. I really do.
So what's the purpose of mentioning?
Well, because in the beginning, people are going to throw in everything that they think they saw or think is relevant. Everybody wants to help.
No, I'm talking about the police. No. I'm saying the police mentioned the red truck. Why would the police lie to the public about a red truck? That's all I'm asking.
I don't think they would lie. I thought they thought it was a potential lead at the time.
Okay, so a certain person went to them saying they saw this truck. Now, they didn't tell us what context where the truck was. Well, they just said, we believe this person, they're upstanding citizen, blah, 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 blah. That's what was said about the person that brought the information forward about the truck. Now you fast forward a year later, the red truck is null and void. You don't hear any talk of it. And basically they mentioned that we don't even believe the information about the red truck. I'd like to know why.
Because like I said, I thought it was a red herring or a mislead or, just somebody wanted to help and said, I did see a red truck at the time. Oh, okay. What kind of truck? And, I think after investigating, they probably felt like the red truck was not verifiable. Just like
because my thing is 1,001 people could be back there driving for work, looking for their friends, visiting their friends. So you can't really, my thing is what stuck out about a red truck for it to even be mentioned in the first place. What was so special about the red truck?
They were trying to take as much information as they could. A child was missing. I don't think the red truck has anything to do with it. They stopped pushing that a long time ago. I don't think I believe the scream either. The police said there's no verifiable source to say that the scream ever happened.
Cheryl said she could have been kidnapped by an addict. Cheryl, why would somebody go into that house to kidnap her? You'd have to know the layout of the house. You'd have to know where she was at the time to kidnap her. 3 other people are in the house besides the mother. The grandmother is in a camper. You've never been to this house. You don't even know who the hell lives there. So how are you going to just kidnap her? Why the child could have been upstairs playing with the kids? See, you have to pay attention to the details. That kidnap theory to me is
Yeah, I agree.
No.
And Queen, don't think for 1 minute that those 3 little boys have not been interviewed ad nauseum.
Well, damn well I know they've talked to the children because I believe the children have already told everything day one.
The police know more than we know. They know more than we know. Who knows? They could have been playing outside at the time, and because the
kidnap theory is too odd to me. If I'm to believe Candace's version that she ever made it to the house and she made it to the basement, I can't believe the kidnap theory on what Candace has told the public.
Yeah, I agree. I don't believe the kidnapping.
The only way I can see the child being kidnapped is if indeed the children were closer to the road.
That's exactly.
That would be the only way I would think she got kidnapped. But because Candace has changed her versions and different things, that would lead me to believe the kidnap theory null and void, no matter if the child was at the road, on a trail playing. Because why are you going to change your version if you know where you was and where your child was last?
Yeah, I think them kids done told it.
Yeah, those kids have talked.
I think it done told it.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna see something come up real soon with Candace getting arrested, because I think I just feel like they're trying to build a case against Candace.
Yeah,
because I believe those children done told something.
Absolutely.
And they're not letting us know.
Yeah.
And it's gonna come out. It's about to come out soon, because they've been too quiet with it.
You've got three little boys.
But it was the same thing with,
Cheryl, even if that's the case, you still would have to know. Y'all not listening. It doesn't matter if it was a stranger, somebody that knew Candace and Don. They have got to be able to know where the child is and get her out of there undetected. There is no way a stranger or somebody that knew these people would not have been detected with dogs on the property. Come on, y'all.
Well,
you can't tell me a house got full of dogs, the dogs don't bark.
Right. I think either something happened at the watering hole, or they came home, the kids were playing, she fell asleep because she got up very early that morning, she took a nap, the kids were outside playing, and maybe the baby ventured too close to the road and somebody saw an opportunity. Mm-hmm. I think those are the only two scenarios.
And this would be the same child that they said that did not venture off, but yet you see her in church all over the place.
However, if she's with her brothers and the brothers are pushing the limits, as boys will do, she's going to follow her brothers. Now, here's some pervert that, which they can be anywhere, anytime, driving by the road and seeing this little 40-pound blonde, blue-eyed baby girl. Perfect opportunity for an opportunity.
Okay. But that still doesn't explain why the mother would be lying about her comings and goings.
Negligence.
Okay. So I'm lying because I don't want people to know that I wasn't paying attention to my child being way far away from the house.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. It's very possible she fell asleep. She took a nap. Who knows? We don't know. We don't know.
Mother. No.
Where was your child?
Well, I'm just going to tell you, this is me. I wasn't there.
Right.
But when you start lying and changing your story, in the end, it's not going to even damn matter, because that's what they're going to be looking at. You changing your version.
Right.
So whether we ever find out the truth, whether law officials ever have ironclad information, data, video surveillance, when you start lying, it doesn't even matter at that point.
Exactly.
Because you have no reason to keep changing your story of, I was over here, I took a walk, I jumped in the car. No, I didn't. That's when you start messing yourself up. So you look guilty, even if perhaps somebody did take her. She was on the trail playing. Somebody drove by, asked her, hey, you want a doll? Here's some candy, blah, blah, blah. It ain't going to matter.
It's not going to matter.
Been in the web.
The truth doesn't change.
Exactly. It never changes.
No, it doesn't. No.
Whatever happened, it was either due to criminal negligence or just negligence. She was not the best child watcher. She, I'm sure, followed the little brothers, and God only knows. It wasn't up to them to watch the baby. It wasn't. They're not the parents. They're boys.
No, they're not.
And you bet you anything, they have been interviewed and re-interviewed by professionals.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they have nuggets in there that are very helpful. Whether it'll be enough to ever see an arrest, I don't think so. This case is I don't think it's ever going to be solved, personally.
Well, why do you say that? Because you don't even know what they have. You just said you don't know what they got. So why would you say that?
You know what, Queen, I keep going back to Delphi. Over 5.5 years.
Yeah, you can't compare. Listen. You can't compare this case to something that happens.
I know.
You're dwelling on, see, that's what y'all do. Y'all dwell on stuff that don't have nothing to do with this, because in the end, you don't know what they know.
Well, then we hope it does get solved, because this little baby deserves some peace, and those little boys deserve some peace in their life. I hope to God.
Cal City's a prime example of police lying to the public.
Amen.
All along, those kids were, they knew all along those kids were dead, and they held it out for a year.
Yeah.
They held that lie for 1 year. Why? When you knew that people were making up stories about seeing the boys, YouTubers just
Why though? What would they
making
do
up stuff. That's when you should have said, we cannot tell you everything in this investigation, but we believe the children are deceased. They should have said that.
Yeah,
fucking
they should have.
right.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like they did with Harmony
Yes.
Montgomery. They said she's dead. This child is dead. We know now. We have forensic evidence to know she's dead. I don't know if they even know that this Summer's dead. I don't know.
Hello, Sam. Where are you calling from?
Queen, I'm gonna hang up so you
All
can
right,
have other
thank you
people
for joining us.
come up.
Okay,
Thank
honey.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Salem, where are you calling from? Hello.
Can you hear me?
Where are you calling from, dear?
Southern Illinois.
All right. What do you have to say about the information that we've relayed in this video?
I think it's possible.
Why?
Oh, I'm on a delay. That she was taken. If you go up 347, that comes like to where that shed is, where they.
I can't hear you.
Oh God, hold on. Fuck.
Quinn, do I need to hang up?
No.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm having some issues. Hold on.
What does the interstate have to do with that? The point is, you got to get into the house and you got to know where the child is, and you got to get out of there undetected. Still rural America. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Right.
You still got to drive a little ways to get out. That makes no sense to me.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Because there are other children there, and you all seem to forget that. There were other children there that look like boys, that are boys, and she looked like a boy. Stay woke.
Amen. That's right.
You got to pay attention to the details. If I was a stalker looking through trees, if she's dressed like a boy, then I thought I'm getting a boy. That's what I'm wanting.
Right.
So why not pick any of the other boys who were there alone already? Bingo card. 3 boys were unattended all damn day. Why
all day?
A girl who looks like a boy comes home, she's the only one that goes missing when 3 boys were left unattended all damn day. See, you all don't pay attention to the stuff that's sitting right in front of you. A kidnapper had all damn day to pick and choose a child to play funny games with. They could have done what they wanted to the boys or anybody in the house. It doesn't got to kidnap them. There's nobody even there.
Right.
You all forgot all about that. She looks like a boy. 3 boys were there all day alone. Anything could have happened to them. Anything. And if we're to believe the story, boy A spun about talking to Don with Candace and some creepy crawly guy on the property. Well, why the fuck you didn't call the police? Somebody's up there with the children. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got to rush home. Somebody's up there with my boys. I keep telling you all, you're forgetting stuff. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. 3 children left alone all damn day. They don't go missing. But a girl who's gone all day from the property, she returns allegedly, but she goes missing. Come on now.
Yeah. Don't make sense.
You have to do deductions. What are the odds? What are the odds that she would be the one that would go missing? When there are 3 children there all day that look like her. Because she looks like a boy. So for me to decide to kidnap a child, I'd have to know the layout of the property. I'd have to know that there are no surveillance cameras on the trees. I'd have to know who is going to be there and not be there. That means I'd also would have to risk putting my hands on somebody to kidnap the child. I got to know the entry points of the house. I have to know where I can go in to get the child. I have to have full knowledge that the child is in the place I'm going in to get them.
Say it. Yes. Yes.
And I also have to be willing to sacrifice my safety to get her out of the house. And down to what exactly? When the driveway is broke up, it's not even built for a standard car to go up the driveway. So if I am driving a normal car, I don't even have a guarantee that I'm going to even be able to get up the damn hill to do anything nefarious.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
You have to pay attention to the details to make it make sense.
Right.
Even if you use they went through the trail, they went through this part of the house, and I mean the property, either direction to go through the woods. Who the hell wants to risk doing all that to kidnap a kid when you don't even know what's going on at the house? You ain't even got to the damn house yet. And you're gonna go through some dog trail and all that when you don't even know if they're sitting outside having a barbecue.
Right.
Could be cooking on the grill. See, that's the stuff none of you mention. You just say, oh well, yeah, they went through the trail. That property has different directions you could come through. You still gotta have knowledge that she can be got undetected. No animals to bark. Nobody sitting outside playing with her. How do you know?
Yeah.
You ain't even got up there yet. How you know the door is going to be locked, unlocked? How you know she's in the room to take her out? What did you take her out of when you got down the driveway or the path? You rode her away on a bicycle? Stay woke. You didn't think your car wouldn't be seen parked on the side of a road? Sheriffs wouldn't be driving by, looking at your car, taking your tag number down. You all aren't paying attention. Those are 2-lane roads with drop-offs. Where are you going to park your car? To go in through the woods to kidnap a kid. See, you're not listening to none of that. That's why I don't understand how you can make it in your mind to believe she was kidnapped, because you're not using deductions. Because as I said, I live here. You are going to be more visible parking your car on the side of a 2-lane road with no sidewalks, drop-offs, and think somebody ain't going to call and say there's a car stranded on the damn road.
Right.
There's always a nosy neighbor. Hey, let me call the sheriff. There's a nosy neighbor says, hey, let me call the sheriff. This car's been sitting here for a while.
Yep. Yep.
You think you're just going to go up some terrain and go up to somebody's house and steal a baby and come back down and think your car still be sitting down there? Sheriffs could have been sitting down there at your damn car, running the tag, anything. Stay woke.
Yep.
Somebody could have been breaking in your damn car. Make it make sense. Yes, nobody came up that mountain. That's just me.
Nobody.
Because when you look at the driveway itself, if I am going there to kidnap a child, ain't no way I'm going to think once I pull up and see the way it was broke up, I'm going to get my damn car up there.
Right. I ain't trying to tear up my muffler.
That's what I'm saying. Because you go tear the muffler up. So you ain't about to be kidnapping nothing. You about to be trying to explain to somebody what the hell you doing on their driveway with your muffler broke off.
No, ma'am. I ain't going up there. No, I ain't doing that. And I got to step on the gas hard. Gas is high. I ain't doing all that. No. To go get a kid they got to feed. Man, no. I ain't doing it.
That's why I said, when you hypothesize all this craziness, it has to make some kind of sense.
Yes.
No way in my right mind, I
That's
believe
true.
anybody went up there and stole her, because there were children already there unattended for hours. Perfect opportunity for somebody to take a child.
Exactly.
Right, with somebody
Who takes
out of the
one?
blue would take this child after she's been gone all day with her mother.
Right. But as a parent, who takes one kid and you got three others?
Somebody who's orchestrating a crime and also leaves their children unattended alone. You all should know by now, Candace has been leaving her boys by themselves. Stay woke now.
So sad. So sad.
They've been left alone many times.
Yeah, and they used to it. They used to it. Because you looking at that one that the little, I don't know if he's the youngest one, but the one that Don kept stroking his head on the news thing. He looked like he just like, oh my gosh, like, well, he just looked so distraught to me.
He's in front of a camera. He's not used to being in front of a camera, so he held his head down.
Yeah, he
didn't have any business.
I felt so sorry for him.
He didn't have any business with that child in front of a news camera. That was not the appropriate place to be holding your child for. You should have been talking to the news alone.
Right, I agree with that.
And no business with the child there.
Yeah, he had no, he's a child, but ain't no telling what he know, and ain't no telling what he told.
Oh, I know they know something. We know they know. They probably told the truth that they've been there all day. They probably gonna tell the truth. They probably told that the child never came home.
Right.
So we don't even have a timeline of when the woman
returned. Didn't get no hot dogs that day, or nothing to eat, or
initially they called 6:27, 6:30 to the dispatch, but we don't even know that they ever saw her. Period. That day.
Right. Yeah.
We have no idea.
It would just be good to know if Grandis ever, because I never heard of if they ever questioned Grandis about these plants, because I got a green thumb, okay? So when I seen those plants,
they were transplanted. She told us, they already told us that they transplanted them from one pot to another. Cactus.
Oh, okay, because they look so damn dry to me. I'm like, oh hell, they ain't gonna live. But okay, I didn't know if
they're not not green leafy plants.
Oh,
Cactus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I said, well, what in the world? This don't look. Them plants look like they needed some water, so I wasn't really sure. But yeah, it was all that was just crazy, and him going up in there. I wouldn't want to go up in there. I believe in evil spirits, and I wouldn't want to go up in there, do all that. I wouldn't want to be that Facebook fancy or whatever I don't even know his channel's on because I don't follow him. I wouldn't give a damn. But yeah, he went up in there, and I wouldn't. He could have broke his neck going down in that dungeon.
Well, the point is, anybody who lived in the house could have broken their neck.
Sure could have. And who's to say that the little baby didn't break her neck? And they said, we got to get rid of her because we got a child custody case. So we got to get rid of her. She done fell down and broke her neck. That was no safety shit. I'm sorry. That wasn't no safety thing to be going down. So she could have broke her neck and they could have got rid of her.
Well, it's just like what was said earlier about the water, the murky water, her talking about the trash was on the property at the swimming hole. Candace never cared about herself. Don never cared about himself. They never cared about their children. They never cared about how they lived. They never cared about the setup of the house. They had a scaffold going into the house. You didn't even have real stairs to go into your house. So therefore, you're showing the world you don't care. You let this man come film you going into this jacked up box that you live in with your kids. You got debris all over the property, animals running amok around. They don't care. So it would be easy to see anybody having an accident in that house because one, you could barely get in the house. So then you got this makeshift downstairs in the middle of a kitchen. They just they're just breathing. That's all they were doing.
If I was a betting woman, I would say, I bet you they've been had some cases, child support cases against their asses, because ain't no way in, that was not livable property. That wasn't livable. None of that was livable. None of that was livable. And I think they done something to that girl.
They was content with living that way.
They were. And that's sad. And it hurts me, but they were. Because they didn't even want better for themselves. They didn't want better for their kids. And that is so sad.
Well, but
not want nothing for yourself.
See, the thing people need to understand is that Candace and Don are a dime a dozen. Do you know how many people actually live them, act like them, talk like them, live like them? They don't feed their children properly. They don't shop for their children properly. They're not teaching their children manners. They're not engaging with them in the schoolhouse and the teachers. They're not spending adequate time with their children. They're not doing what
they gave them no string beans or nothing.
So the children can have a decent upbringing. They are not that type of couple.
They're not.
Because there are many pictures where the children look dirty and unkempt. So they are going to teach their children what they do. And children are going to mimic what they see.
Yes, that's
true. So you don't brush your hair. You don't wash your clothes. You don't change your clothes. Why would I change my clothes? Why do I care about brushing my teeth? That oldest child, his teeth were butter yellow in a picture where video where she was cutting the grass and he was standing beside her. His teeth weren't even
clean. Ma'am. I seen it. I sure seen it.
That video with a blue wife beater on, the same wife beater she's in her interview. Yes. Daniel's talking about what happened June 15th. This woman wouldn't even change her damn clothes.
She wouldn't. I seen that. Nasty. Just
that's what people don't understand about the Wells. They're a dime a dozen. They come the same way. There are people that live in the holler, possibly just like them. There's people that live in Kingsport like them. There's people that live like them in New York, Chicago, Idaho, Utah, everywhere. There are people who are just nasty, vile. Their houses are cluttered up, hoarded up. They've got open rooms, no doors. They're not washing clothes. They're not feeding their children properly. They're just nasty.
That's what I said.
They own drugs. They got all type of people coming in and out of their house. They hooking up with different people, picking up strangers. It goes on every day. It just so happens.
It does.
It happened with a little girl missing, and everybody and their mama want to come out and tell all their damn business. That's all.
Yeah, and that's so sad. So sad. So sad. You know, I watch a lot of interrogations, and that's why I feel some type of way about this. Because I'm into true crime like you. So I watch a lot of interrogations and on different people. And I'm not naming any names, but you know, I done seen some interrogations where they break these people down to where I'm 3-4 hours. It might take 3 or 4 hours. It might take 2, just depends. And they end up telling what they done did. I'm like, goodness gracious, why can't they do this with these people?
But those that decide to tell, but this group has decided not to tell anything.
Yeah, it seems like it. Seems like it. But God, he might make you spill it, but we don't know. Because I think they did something to this baby, and I think there is people that know about it.
Now, Desire, why are you asking that question? Have they been intensely interrogated? Y'all, I don't understand where y'all get these questions from. Why would you think they have not been intensely interrogated when they've already admitted they've been to the house in searching 8 times? Think about what you're saying now. Candace admitted that a few months ago. They've been out here searching 8 times. So you think they didn't interrogate them intensely if they've been to their house 8 times looking for stuff? Who goes to a house 8 times for searches? Let's talk about, before I check out of here, the fact that Ronnie Lawson says in the commentary I played earlier, they stopped cooperating. The grandmother goes on the news to say she knows that Candace is cooperating. She's cooperating, but she didn't know about Don. Do you believe what the grandmother said in that video?
I'm gonna pass on that because I didn't see that one.
Well,
I came in a little late.
I played it in this live that he says that they said they stopped cooperating. So why would you stop cooperating if you're trying to find your child?
In my opinion, I will say the only reason why you would stop cooperating is because you know something, or you seen something, or you guilty of something. And that's why you would stop cooperating. Because
the police has let them know, or they feel that the police is on to them, so they need to quit talking to them.
Okay, shut up. I don't.
Just say what you have to say.
The police told them to shut up. The police, police are detectives.
No, you're not listening.
Lawyer.
Listen. When you're being asked questions and they ask you to come in to talk, at some point during the questioning, you can gather if they think you are guilty of harming the child. So
yes,
is it possible that they realize we need to quit talking to the police because they think we harmed our child?
Okay, because they ask you when they reach your Miranda rights, they tell you you can stop talking at any time and ask for an attorney. To me, when you do that, 9 times out of 10, you're guilty of something that you don't want to tell them.
There's no such thing as they would have broken them by now. It is a choice to break yourself.
Right.
If you want to tell that you hurt your child, you'll tell it. If you want to hold out, you hold out. People have been holding secrets about death for many years. A lot of people take the secret to their grave because in the end, you can get up out of the room and walk out of the interrogation because they don't have a warrant against you. So you don't even know how many times they talked to her. You don't know how many times they talked to Don. You don't know how many times they talked to Grandis. And you don't know how many times each one could have got up out of the room and walked out of the interrogation.
Exactly.
Because so long as there's no warrant, I do not have to talk to you. I can sit and listen and not answer. Mm-hmm. I can get up after 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 7 minutes and say, well, I don't have anything else to say. I've got to go. Mm-hmm. And if you don't want to go to jail, hell no, you're not going to let them break you.
That's right. That's right.
So what's at 110 Ben Hill? I'm curious. Because they've searched the property. So where are the answers? I'm curious. What are the answers?
I think they found something, but not that. But I think they found something on Ben Hill. But wherever that part that they searching, I think they found something down there. They keep going down there for a reason. That's money. Then I think there's something, or somebody done said something. Mm-hmm. I don't know, because Don run his doggone mouth so much, he might have said something to somebody in prison. Or wherever he at, or jail. I'm sorry, I don't allegedly wherever he is.
He's in jail.
He might have said something. He's in jail. Okay. He might have said something, and that might be the reason why they keep carrying their asses down there.
Okay. All right.
Might be. I don't know. I'm just saying. Because he talked too much.
Well, do you believe he will get back on social media when he gets out in October?
Heck yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
If he get out, yeah.
Do you think Do you think him and Candace will be together? He's getting out in October. I just mentioned that in my commentary.
Yeah. Because she ain't got nowhere to go.
Okay.
And he's a bum. Yeah.
Why do you think she's been missing in action? Because you know you still have bills to pay.
And she missing action because she can't pay those bills. You can't stay nowhere with no heat, water, lights, whatever. So you're going to clink on like a leech to someone that can help you. So I think she good with making friends. We see that. We done seen that. We ain't got to talk about it. You know what I'm talking about. She good with making friends.
So you think
she's leashed on somebody's helping her.
She's going to hold out till he gets out, but yet he'll probably have a lot of things to pay for. Possibly has to get some things turned on, such as water, gas, sewer, all that type of stuff.
He going to have to do all that. If the doggone thing don't do like, if that house don't do like the movie in Carrie where the thing that fell on the ground.
Yeah, fall on the ground. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if it don't fall all the way to the ground, then they going to have to, ain't that being paid up there? She ain't got no job.
Okay, you think they will get back together? He's allegedly supposed to be coming out in October. You do believe the bills are behind?
Definitely they behind.
You do.
She ain't got no job.
Do you believe the children will be returned, or they not being returned to the Wales?
They will never, ever see those children again.
Do you think they lost custody of the children already?
I believe they lost custody back in October.
And why is that?
I believe they lost custody in October because I believe those children told last time they seen Summer. I believe they told what was going on in the house. I believe there was always.
But why October? Why October? Why you pick that month?
I say October because I think that was, and I might be wrong. I think that was the time that they were taken away. Maybe before. No, it wasn't.
The children were taken away. The children were removed 6 weeks after she went missing. So that's about the end of July when they got removed.
Okay. I don't know why something is registered in October in my mind. Okay. But, so it was July. I believe whenever those children was taken away, I believe that, because they have to go to, and everybody knows this, they go to, it's a psychiatry for children. Mm-hmm. I believe that they told last time they see their sister, I believe they told everything. Children are sponges. And I believe because I know this for a fact, when you get children away and you make them feel comfortable, they will tell you everything. Everything.
Well,
everything.
Also in this audio, I mentioned that he's supposed to get out in October, and the judge has decided that he does not need to be rehabilitated. Could it be possible he feel like he doesn't need to be rehabilitated because they will not be getting their children back? So he doesn't need to be rehabbed. He can just go on and get drunk again and fall by the wayside without having to stand account for having custody of their children. Because what we got to ask yourself is, why are you, one, letting him out early? Two, why are you also saying he doesn't need to do rehab?
That's very sad for me. I'm in Ohio, and I did hear that you had posted that and said that. That's very sad for me. In my opinion, I definitely believe that he needs to.
Why that's sad to you?
It's sad to me because he's got a substance problem.
Okay.
That's a disease.
That's what I'm trying to say is that he's getting half of his time cut plus no rehab. There has to be a reason why the judge would cut the time to release him and then say no rehab. There has to be a reason. Why would a judge render that decision? Is what I'm asking.
Not sure why the judge decided that. I wouldn't have. I would have made him go to rehab because I feel like he's got a big ass problem.
Yeah.
And maybe okay, how can I say this? He has a big problem. He needs to no, he just needs to rehab. So is her, but she ain't in there. but he needs to do it.
Don't you find that interesting? She drinks as well and has been on YouTube visibly drunk and high, and during the interviews with the news. Why did she not go to rehab?
I find that very interesting that they both wasn't ordered, and why is he getting out and not having to go to rehab? He should have to go to rehab. He didn't start this problem. He's been had this problem.
I think there's something very odd with that, not letting him do the whole 1129, because he should get every damn day.
I agree. I definitely agree. And I'm not understanding it. Because he's going to get out and he's just going to go back to drinking. What's that? R&R or whatever the heck. That crap I ain't never heard of.
Yeah.
He was drinking. Like, yeah, he's going to go back doing that and whatever dope, whatever he was smoking or putting up his nose or however he was getting into him. He's going to go back to doing that.
Yeah. But maybe the judge said, well, we're going to go and let him get back to it because we know there ain't nothing for him and her to go back to because they ain't got their kids. They're not getting their kids back.
But, you know, when you on them drugs, you'll score wherever and whatever. Yeah. They going to do whatever to score. And I really believe that. And it's so sad. But I don't think they will ever get their kids back. But I don't think he's going to come out here and do right and praise the Lord. And he might go back in church to get food or whatever. Because I think that's what they was going for anyway. Mm-hmm. That's why they was sleeping. We attended. We was here. But they wanted some bread and cheese and stuff. They wanted that. I wouldn't trust old Donnie for nothing.
Don't you find it interesting the past couple months, this new year, since he's been arrested, you don't hear anything about the church or Robin or any of that? Any of those
nothing.
You don't hear anything from the pastor, any conversation. Do you think they've abandoned these people and decided to be rid of them?
Yeah, because they didn't want their church to look bad. That's my opinion. But my thing is, and I know it wasn't her responsibility.
But that was already done early on.
Yeah, it was. I wish Robin would have done something, but
like what?
Maybe she didn't know it was that bad.
Well, she's had to see the child, how she interacted at the schoolhouse to know that something wasn't right with the child, perhaps.
Oh, okay. So I'm like, goodness gracious, I wish you would have took her.
I always tell people to think before they talk with all those allegations they say, because if a person is worrying about somebody seeing any type of abuse, they're not going to let their child even go to church. So why would he let a child? Listen, why would he let his child go to church or any of his children if you want abusing them and sexually abusing them, knowing they could tell somebody at the church? The child was alone with the teacher for at least 30, 40 minutes or an hour. Why would you not think she would want to tell her teacher she's being touched or her private area is hurt, or why not?
Right. Yeah. And I don't know, and I'm not being funny by saying this, she seems to have had some type of disability to me. And I could be wrong. I don't know. But you know what I mean? As far as like,
I know what you mean.
I don't know if her speech or something was all the way there, because I was late watching the church videos and seeing that, and how she kept jumping in Robin's arm, whatever. And it's like she wasn't really communicating. But it was like she just wanted to be in her arms, and I seen something else. I'm like, goodness.
She probably didn't get a lot of attention at her house with her parents. That's why it's funny when you hear Don go on in these letters to her that he loved her, they can't live without her, he can't live without her, he cries and all that. Well, she was missing something at that house, because to keep jumping in someone's arms means you're looking for attention and affection.
Most definitely. Yeah, because I'm like, oh my goodness, they singing a hymn and she just keep jumping up in Robin's arms like they ain't doing that. And I'm like, And the parents is not coming and stopping her and nothing like that. It's so
I wonder if
embarrassing.
Robin ever speak to the parents about her behavior.
And that's,
Or
I got a
or
question.
anybody in the church.
Yeah, I
Anybody in the
wondered.
church. Because other people have to notice. We know they notice her jumping around the church. So why?
Right.
I'm not gonna say why. I wonder if somebody ever said anything to them about her behavior. And if they did,
I wonder that too.
What was done? Possibly nothing.
Right, possibly nothing. And who was that in the red hoodie? I was late. With the I've been following the story, but I just couldn't.
That was Candace.
That was Candace Sleep. Lord have mercy. See, that ain't right. Who got? Yeah, you know, back in the day, See, that lets you know that. Well, we already know. I think that's obvious to everybody.
Well, I blame the church because they also a part of this BS as well.
Exactly.
You had to see
I think they should have told
that the wife is coming to church, not lucid, sleeping.
Right.
Running all over the church. Somebody should have said something to the parents about their behavior and the behavior of the little girl or anything else they noticed with the boys.
You think that's why they so quiet now? Because you think they think the police gonna come for them?
No, not necessarily.
They said nothing.
I think they're quiet because they have walked away from the Wells. They weren't trying to get in the midst of the problems with them anyway. And see, you don't really know who has talked from the church to law officials. You don't know who might have wanted to say something, but they didn't want to be scrutinized by their church with people, you know, saying, oh, Susie had something to say about the Wells and the little girl and the little boys and the mama. But see, you don't really know who's been talking behind closed doors to law officials.
Right. That's true. Because somebody could have been called. And it could have been somebody that called from the church. From what I heard, there was already I'm sorry, 241 kids we called up here. Child Protective Services.
Yeah.
It already had.
We don't have verification. That's he said, she said too.
And we don't. It is.
Because let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I pay attention to everything that's been said, and I pay attention to everything that's been done. I don't listen to all that he said, she said stuff, because in the end, why would there be an open case and you let them keep their boys for 6 weeks and the girl child is missing? If I believe there's any type of improprieties by the parents abusing the children or harming a child, and that's why she's missing, I'm not going to leave 6 children in their custody of a missing child. You see that with Cal City. They removed all 4 children immediately after they got to the house and investigated 2 boys missing. Because
they sure
they don't know what they saw when they got to the house.
Right.
Okay.
And we don't know what was in them bags.
You don't know if they had furniture, if they had beds, what they had. You don't know if there were liquor bottles, drug paraphernalia around. You don't know. So therefore, this case makes no sense to say, well, the rumor is a social worker came out and told she's got documents and the case, there's an open case, blah, blah, blah. Then why the hell would the state leave these children in their care? The police had to see what the property looked like when they went there to investigate the little girl missing. They saw what the inside of the house looked like. So now I'm supposed to believe nobody said nothing to call the DHS supervisor to say, hey, we need somebody to come get these kids because this isn't a safe environment. But I brought information from a social worker to say in the state of Tennessee, they do not necessarily remove children because the house or property is unkempt.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that. But oh wow. Okay. But and then we go on to find out that the 2 children are dead and they didn't tell us. Dang. I see what you're saying. This is something. It's
well, Cheryl, I do believe that when you are a teacher of any sort, you should be considered a mandate reporter. I'm not going to just let you come into church and I believe your children are being abused and I'm noticing that. How would that be Christian-like? And how would that be ethical as a Sunday school teacher or anybody in the church and I'm noticing something's not right with your children? And I'm seeing behavior from your children that makes no sense. It makes no sense to have see people coming to church with children, and the children aren't clean. They don't look clean. They seem like they got problems. They're being neglected, whether it be physical, mental, behavior, whatever. Why not say something to them? That's your job. You're in church. Why not? Call them to the side. Hey, we want to talk to you about your kids. Hey, I'm noticing they smell or they're not acting appropriately. They won't sit down. We have to have some decorum here. This is church. If you're not going to tell them, then who's going to tell them? So you think it's just okay to let people come into the house of the Lord and just show out and do what they want and let the kids run all over the church house and disrupt of the services because we're supposed to just love them? Well, if that's the case, hey, it ain't church then. You're in the street.
Yep.
I can tell you right now, my church ain't about to let nobody run around the church under the age of being an adult if you ain't praising the Lord and got the Holy Spirit.
Mine ain't either.
You're not about to be 5 years old running up in the pulpit and run up and down stairs. Somebody getting ready to grab your little wrist and sit you down. How about that?
Ooh. Nope, it ain't about to happen over here either.
And believe me, somebody gonna say something to your mama and your daddy.
Right. You need to sit your child down.
Because you
or
can't
sit
feel
your
any
children down.
You can't feel any shame not to say something to the parents because of what? Oh, you're gonna hurt their feelings. Oh, they're not gonna come back to church. Well, don't come back. That's how I would look at it. Who cares?
Exactly.
Church.
Exactly.
Sacred. It's the house of the Lord. It's sacred.
Exactly.
You just let people do what they want in the church because you're fearing they're gonna be mad.
That's right, because it ain't an amusement park.
It's not a playhouse. So that's why I'm saying, I'm wondering, did anyone in the church ever say anything to the Wells about the mother falling asleep in church? And hey, your daughter's having some problems. What's going on with your child? We've got to keep her still during services.
Yeah.
You didn't see any other children
jumping up and down. Got to keep her.
You didn't see any other children jumping up and down, running around the church. She was the only.
No, ma'am.
So the parents should have said, Summer, you can't do that. You can't be running around the church. You can't keep jumping on your teacher. She has to be able to sing and teach. Somebody had an obligation to say something. Exactly. That would have been the best thing to do. Pick up the child and tell her, hey, I'm going to take you over here to mommy and daddy. And then they would have got the point. You better keep the child still. And if you can't conduct your child properly, then that means you don't need to be bringing your child to church. Because there are people who want to hear the services. And people can't concentrate on the services if somebody's running around chasing a 5-year-old.
Amen.
And it's not the child's fault because possibly she did have something wrong with her. But that's why it's up to the people in the church, the Saturday day teacher and the parents to all be in unison to make the child mind or get her adequate help to help her mind. But when you're dealing with two misfits, all bets are off because they didn't care about themselves. That's why you know they never cared for their children.
Yep. Totally agree with that.
Well, I thank you for joining me. I'm going to head out of here.
Okay. Thank you, Queen, for having me. I appreciate you. You too.
Okay. All right.
God bless you. Okay. And congratulations on your movie thing. With Dolly. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate you.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, Everyday Shenanigans, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. Thank you for the stickers, donations. God bless all of you. this was just a dive into a little bit of information pertaining to Summer Wells. Please go back to the beginning of this video to hear all the commentary. Most of the commentary and sources are by WJHL News 11 out of the Tri-Cities area. The child has not been recovered alive or deceased. You're entitled to your opinion on what you think happened to the child. You're entitled to believe that she was kidnapped, abducted, human trafficking, sold, accident, cover up. I do believe everything starts with Candace Bly and that family, parents, and the grandmother. I believe they have guilty knowledge of what happened to the child. I believe that the reason that the search teams have searched Beach Creek is because they have information that the child is discarded in that area. Now, what happened to her, I have no idea. But I do believe they are involved. And as you see, the father went to jail. The mother never got any help for herself, nor did she ever get arrested either. Yes, for aiding a child with vaping products and alcohol. Why? I do not know. She never retrieved her children back before and after Don's jail sentence, which leads me to believe that they're not giving the children back to them, and or they didn't want the children back. He's got a cut sentence with no rehab, which I think is ridiculous because he's a repeat offender and he has a problem. He's an addict. So 9 times out of 10, when he gets out of jail, he will re-offend and he will be back in jail and he will get another DUI. But the gist of the story is that he will have to put that machine in his car. That is the new state law here in Tennessee. And if you also kill somebody from a drinking incident, DUI, the law says you have to pay child support to the surviving children. How that's going to happen, I have no idea, because you will have to go to jail for murder. So how are you going to pay child support? And by the time you get out, you'll either be too old or you'll die in prison. Very odd law. Because most people won't make it out of jail if they're old and go in and get a 20, 30-year-old sentence for homicide by vehicle. But it is what it is. Who all knows what happened to the child? I do not know. Any other participants, neighbors? I do not know. And only a fool would tell on him or herself if they are involved in the disappearance and discardment of Summer Wells. What do the children know? What did they tell law officials? Probably everything. Do they know what happened to Summer? Possibly. They're just not telling us anything. Because if I look back into the case of Cal City, it could be possible this is the same scenario. They have information that the child is dead. Who is the suspect? Plural. They just don't have the smoking gun. And why did they allow those boys to stay in their care 6 weeks after the child went missing, if indeed they had an open CPS case on the Wells? That makes no sense. And as I always say, bring me a receipt. I don't deal in lies and stories. And he said, she said. Because any fool that would implicate their own self and job to say they got information as a social worker, you willing to go to jail for selling DHS secrets. You're a fool. And don't think they can't track who's opening up the computer and deleting files out of it. Stay woke now. The dispatch call in the beginning tells you everything you need to know. The mother has lied to law officials and the public. She took a walk. She never expected you to ever hear that audio from the dispatch, repeating what she said to her. So she changed it. And when she did her interview, she had to cover her tracks to say, I would never go out and walk because of wild animals. She wasn't expecting you all to be discussing her on YouTube. Stay woke now. Orchestrated, I do believe. Never expecting to get caught. The motive for killing a child, You don't need a motive. Only a logical mind needs a motive. Accident, still no reason to cover up an accident if your child could have been saved or to preserve the truth. You have nothing to hide. You're decent people. If it was an accident, you call 911 and say, my child fell, my child got hurt. Tell the truth. You only lie to cover up guilty knowledge. Because as they say in the street, the truth never needs an explanation. If you see something, say something. Be a part of the solution and not the problem. There's no such thing as a snitch rule pertaining to children. Don't be one of those people that questions themselves later. I should have said something. I should have done something. Oh yeah, I noticed they didn't look right, smell right. Oh yeah, I heard the stories of abuse. It's too late. Because as they say, a dead man tells no tales. That rule is also for children. Too late to spin a web once a person has been found deceased. Especially willful intent, murder, homicide. If you'd like to donate to this channel, $Big Andrew129 Cash App. Thank you for joining me. Have a happy weekend. God bless all of you. This is Everyday Shenanigans. Thank you.